Stanley Cup hockey is traditionally close checking and very close scoring between the two teams. You don't see too many blowouts. I don't want to say that I'm correct on that point, but all 4 early games at the end of one period are tied. You'll see what I mean when we go to the scoreboard. Hartford and Quebec, they scored 33 goals against each other during the regular season. They've scored 1 against each other in the playoffs, 1-1 after 1. The Rangers and Flyers, 2-2, just getting set to start the second period. That's the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers at the Spectrum. Elsewhere, Boston and Montreal are at the end of the first period, and the Boston, well, Chicago and Toronto, no score. That game just getting underway at Chicago Stadium. Now the St. Louis Blues and Minnesota North Stars also no score. That game just getting underway at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Later on tonight, the Edmonton Oilers take on the Vancouver Canucks at the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. Well, our score after one period, the New York Islanders won and the Washington Capitals won. Gaetan Duchesne putting the Capitals on the board early with a goal, and then the Clark Gillies tying it up for the New York Islanders. Now let's go to the Met Center, Bloomington, Minnesota. The start of the game between the Blues and the North Stars. Here's Dan Kelly.
The North Stars, Fred Hartsburg, trying to clear it out. Held in by Rick Mahar, number 22 for the Blues. Behind the net to Sutter. Now Wickenheiser getting it to Mark Reeves, who tried to stuff it in. He couldn't, and back comes Dino Ciccarelli for Minnesota. Big shot wide of the target. Puck into the St. Louis zone. This game just underway. Shot from the point by Rels is blocked. And number 15 for St. Louis, Reeves, over to Rick Mahar, number 22, who shoots it in. Reeves behind the net to Doug Wickenheiser, trying to center one. Wickenheiser, number 14, being checked by number 14 for the North Stars, Bukestad. But now Reeves gets it. And he's hammered into the boards, and the North Stars come back into center ice. Breaking it up is Mahar, number 22, who turns at center. His pass over onto the wing, but Reeves had gone to the bench, and Bourgeois for St. Louis shoots it into the Minnesota zone. Kurt Giles back to get it. Into center ice to Marouk. Cleared it to the line, but not out. Here's Doug Gilmour. Moves in, backhander. Big save there by Beaupre as he clipped out his right leg. Back comes Minnesota. Shot in by Kent Nielsen. Now Dennis Marouk on left wing. Knocking it in behind the net. But the puck just stayed on the top of the boards and is finally held there. And we'll get a stoppage and a face-off in the St. Louis zone.
A minute. So the festivities have started at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. The North Stars and the Blues. You'll see Game 2 of that series live tomorrow night on ESPN at 8:30. As for our game from Washington, after one period, it's the Capitals won and the New York Islanders won. They've just finished resurfacing the ice at the Capitol Center. We'll be going back for the second period in just 1 moment.
I found it. It's under 48 pages. 284 minutes.
See, I told you.
I knew it was well over 100. 284 minutes to lead the Flyers. But he's a good player. I like Tuck. I think he's got scoring potential. He does a lot of tough stuff. Some of it unnecessary with the stick.
He's young yet.
But he's a good-looking player. Miller able to clear the zone. Marsh recovers. Waits and drives it in. Rich Sutter is there. Bumped by Melnick. Ron Sutter picks up the puck. He's hooked by Ridley. Centered. It's knocked back into the corner. Weimer goes to the puck. Kelly Miller. Miller against Crossman. Crossman ties him up. Holds him. Headlock. Crossman obviously watched WrestleMania earlier in the week.
Okay. We're back.
Marsh. Deflects off the corner glass. Van Beesbrook steers it to Weimer. And out in center, Marsh had the stick ripped out of his hands by Pierre LaRouche. Alliston stops the puck. LaRouche turns and sends it all the way through. Marsh has lost his stick.
And the history, well, it's all Islanders, the last 3 series. So, you know, the history of the fact that the Islanders have beaten the Washington Capitals is something that they're really going to have to, you know, try hard to shake. Here's a look at Clark Gillies' goal in super slow-mo. Watch Basson come over the blue line. Now, this is a low-percentage shot, but the advantage of a low-percentage shot is if it's properly executed, you can catch everybody sleeping. Watch this. Gillies just directs it at the net. Doesn't get that much wood on it because it's impossible to get that much wood on it from that angle, and Peters kind of left sleeping there, and we talked about him not being that agile. That's one of the things that the Islanders are going to keep concentrating on, but that was a low-percentage shot, wasn't it, Mike? But that's, you know, that's sometimes you just direct it at the net, and you catch everybody, including the goalie.
I'll tell you, the slow-mo certainly showed me. I thought that they had the puck went over his right shoulder, but it caught the blocking glove and bounced in. You saw very clearly.
Right.
Islanders start with a power play to begin period number 2. Lou Franciscetti off at 19:57 of that first period, so the Islanders will be trying to take the lead. special teams, and I did disagree with you. I think Gustafson had to really hurt the cause for the Capitals. The Islanders have shown that they've been a good playoff specialty team squad, as they really have dominated at times. They've got great penalty killing. Last year they had good penalty killing too against the Capitals and winning that series. Langway though with it around the near side. And now they come.
Listen to those boos, Mike, for Dennis Putman every time he touches the puck. And the reason for that, we'll remind you again, is that it was Dennis Putman's check that broke Bent Gustafson's leg against the New York Islanders, and big loss for the Capitals, and the fans here really remember that.
Murphy going back to play the puck. And we have an icing call against the Islanders. The special team's not looking extremely good right now for the New York Islanders. They are 10th on the power play during the course of the regular season, but they really improved that mark during the last half. They had 73 power play goals on the season.
Well, I can honestly say, Mike, if I was a penalty killer when I played, and if I were playing the New York Islanders in this series, the one thing I would be afraid of is their power play, and I wouldn't care how it had done this year. I take a look at who they have. Thomas Janssen, Denny Putman back there on defense. You have Bossy up there on the right side with Trottier at center, and they have a ton of firepower, so that would be the element of the Islanders that I would fear, and I'm sure Brian Murray has told his troops, listen, guys, can't take any unnecessary penalties.
Randy Boyd controlling the disc with 1:05 to go now in the Francis K. penalty, right in front of that net. And a scramble, and we're going to get a delay a game penalty called here against Boudelier.
Boy, unusual call, Mike. You can see Paul Boudelier very frustrated at the call. He was stomping mad after Hogarth had called the penalty. Now, his back was to us, so we couldn't see it. But he ended up with the puck between his knees. And, boy, in the playoffs, that's a gutsy call by Ron Hogarth. Having not seen it well, it's difficult to tell whether it was an accurate call. There's Kelly Rudy. Now, watch. There's Boudelier with the puck. Now, his back is to us. He cradles it, and he throws it down between his legs. Gosh, I don't know. From here, we were unable to see if he actually closed his hand on the puck. That was the call. And difficult to tell. Hogarth had a lot better view of it than we did, but in any event, usually when a player protests that vehemently, as Boudelier did, it's an indication that he might not have been guilty. However, the whole world's saying, who cares? It's already done. Looks like the Caps are going to end up with a power play here pretty soon.
Well, it's 1 minute and 2 seconds to go on the Francis Sketty penalty to the Capitals. And this one now beginning to Boudelier. Closing the hand on the puck, not delay a game, and it comes to LaFontaine. LaFontaine moving in with the Brent Sutter. Now up to Conroy with a heavy blast, but he just missed. And picked up now. And worked back to center right. Scott Stevens. He stepped cleanly by LaFontaine. It comes straight to Murphy, though. Moves in. He put it softly to the net. Murphy should have fired that puck. Full bore or not, I think he was trying to make a perfect pass.
I think, Mike, he saw Christian breaking from the right side, so he decided to hold up, and he lost the whole momentum with that.
Stevens looking for Christian off his skate. And back to center. Johnson carries the mail. Left side of LaFontaine. LaFontaine makes the play in front. Peters now to the side of the net, holds on. LaFontaine took a whack at it, trying to jam it free, but he could not.
Well, I tell you what we didn't see on that play, Mike, was LaFontaine didn't have a stick. He actually skated by the Islanders bench on that rush, picked up a stick from one of the guys that was leaning over the bench, and actually caught the puck and made a shot on net with somebody else's stick. We could see him going back to the bench. There he is.
I wonder if it was his stick. I can't tell. Sometimes you'll get a different stick from somebody else.
Well, depending on how much time you have, the trainer usually likes to have time to pick up, trainers watch for you losing your stick or breaking your stick, and then what they do is get your stick ready for when you come to the bench. But if they don't see it in time, boy, you need a stick. You'll take anybody's. Very often, left-hand shots end up out on the ice with a stick that's curved the wrong way, and it's really impossible to do anything with. But I'll tell you, any stick is better than no stick.
Brett Sutter, number 21, along with Bob Thorne against Bob Carpenter and Mike Gardner. The two Cruise Capitals are out here. Gardner and Bob Carpenter. We are tied at 1 early in period number 2. And Kevin Hatcher, the big 6'4", 207-pound defenseman, goes to Rod Langlois. He has the same type of size. Petered over for Mike Gardner, and his backhand attempt was blocked. And here are the Islanders counterattacking. They've got good speed here. Carpenter's back as a defenseman. Here's Bourne moving in. Slap shot, and the save made by Peters. Boy, that was a tough position to put Carpenter in, too, with that bad knee. Trying to play as a defenseman. Langway 3-on-2 back. Langway in front, and he had Francis Sketty, who just came on, and it was just wide of his stick. Along the near side, Langway shoots one. And Rudy holds on to that one in the midsection. The power play is now on. for the Capitals.
Boy, that was a 4-on-2, Mike, and Langway made a heck of a pass in front. There are a number of options he could have used, but he made a nice slick pass in front of the net. Now Kelly Rudy's waiting for it as we got our super slow-mo hooked up here. Rudy just waiting on the shot. Now watch Franceschetti. Oh, well, it looks like Rudy got his stick there at the same time as Franceschetti. It's a good thing Rudy was there for Lou Franceschetti's sake, or he might have caromed into that goalpost. He actually deflected a whole body wide of the net. You see how agile Rudy is. Look at his glove out there. Just waiting. Always has that glove poised to the side. And to bring it back in for that one. Boy, it's nice to have that super slow-mo.
You see the concentration on number 5, Budman, and Boyd also. I mean, just deep concentration in a game like this. When you get to the playoffs, I mean, every single play is so important. And the Capitals now trying to take advantage of this situation. A 1-1 tie. They've got the power play. Christian Risky one, but it went over the left shoulder of Rudy. Murphy to Pettersson. Going to Christian. He's there. His shot, and again, Rudy denied him. Well, Christian comes out of that corner so well now, and he can really fire it. Stevens left point. That one hit a leg in front. Back to Stevens again. Head down his left. Shot missed. Murphy feeds it back in the corner for Laughlin. Laughlin, good pass to Pettersson. 5 seconds from the penalty in front, and Rudy again sweeps it away. Left point to Stevens. Last shot on his power play, deflected. Morrow trying to clear. Here comes Boudelier on. The penalty is expired. Stevens going now to Murphy. To Pettersson. Snap one wide behind the goal. Stevens again. He can't find the net. Pettersson. Stopped by Trottier. The puck play to the blue line, but not out now. Cleared by Conroy.
So important, Mike. Stevens had 3 golden opportunities just to get the puck on the net. He had screens in front and everything, and he missed on every shot.
Stevens looking for Laughlin. He overskates the play here. The Islanders 2-on-1. Bossy on the right wing. He loves to shoot from here. He'll give it instead. It's front to Crum, and it's wide of the goal. It was too high. The pass deflected up high on it. Now Peters does the splits and stops the play. Here at the Capitol Center, the score. The Islanders won. The Capitals won.
I'm Spike from Job's. How do you help keep your trees
tall, green, and handsome?
with Job's Tree Spikes? Watch. Surface fertilizers can get partially washed away, but Job's continuously feeds vital nutrients where it counts, at the roots, so your tree looks
Tremendous! Thanks to Job's Tree Spikes.
Job's Spikes for shrubs and young trees, too. Job's does the job at the roots.
Well, the Washington Capitals just finished a power play in Landover. Meanwhile, at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the Flyers have a 2-man advantage on the New York Rangers. Let's go live to the Spectrum. Sam Rosen, Phil Esposito.
Back to Howe, now to McCrimmon. 5-on-3 advantage for Philadelphia. McCrimmon waits, feeds Prop. His shot stopped by Van Beesbrook. Poulin in the corner with the puck. Poulin back pass to McCrimmon. McCrimmon shoots. Save Van Beesbrook. The rebound is under Van Beesbrook with 18 seconds to go in the 2-man advantage.
Well, we talked about it before the game for the Rangers to be in this game and to have an opportunity. Van Beesbrook's got to stand on his head and watch him how he is. Here's the shot. Here's the save. And he holds off the rebound. Look at it. He sits on it. And there's no way that they're going to get it by him, he's saying to himself.
Minutes to go in the second period, tied 2-2 here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Flyers with a 5-on-3 manpower advantage. Maloney off for another 18 seconds. Greshner a minute 42 to go in his penalty. Rangers have been down a man for the last 2 minutes and 28 seconds.
Well, Johnny Van Beesbrook has stopped them, and the Rangers have done real well, making the Flyers shoot from out far.
So the Flyers and Rangers still tied at 2. We'll let you know if the score changes. That's 2-2, Philadelphia and the Rangers. Let's go back to Washington now. It's still 1-1, the Capitals and Islanders and Mike Lang.
All right, Tom Mees, and we have a stop and play here at the Capitol Center. Well, the Rangers getting good goaltending tonight, apparently, from John Van Beesbrook.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, they're going to have all the goaltending in the world to beat the Flyers. But, you know, Johnny Van Beet this year has had such a wonderful year that, you know, anything can happen. It's a short series, and they got one thing on their side, and that's a real hot goaltender in Johnny Van Beesbrook.
There's Kelly Rudy. And a look at the regular season record that Rudy posted. We're tied at 1. Neither club able to get on the board here. Well, we were talking about the matchup with Gould and Duchesne against the Trottier line.
What a job they're doing. They outshot that Trottier line 5-1 in the first period. Now, they're supposed to be the checking line. They're not supposed to be the offensive unit. So there's an offside call. So they did a heck of a job. And I think Duchesne has added a couple of shots in this period. So,
and they picked up a goal, too. We have 15 minutes and 15 seconds to go here in the second period. The shots are now 13-12 in favor of the Capitals. These two clubs played 5 games last year in their series. The first 2 going to overtime, so that'll be nothing new for the 2 squads.
Boy, that makes you gray a little faster. Makes the hair, makes the temples go gray a little faster for all concerned when you get into those overtime.
You know, more amazing for the Islanders to come back and win that series 3-2. They lost the first 2 games to the Caps in overtime. Boy, those are disheartening losses, too, back-to-back. Here's Hallworth on a rush now. Hallworth with good speed. Trying to get around Conroy. Penalty coming up here. And I believe it'll be against the Islanders. Along the near side. And here at the Capitol Center, the score. The Capitals won, the Islanders won.
The Maple Leafs on the power play against the Blackhawks. Steve Thomas shoots and scores. What is it about the Maple Leafs, the way they dominate Chicago? Let's go back to Washington and Mike Lang.
Thank you, Tom. And now the penalty to Greg Gilbert of the New York Islanders. Tripping minor at 5'10".
And Mike, you know, one of the keys for the power play for the Washington Capitals is the fact that they're 6th in the NHL at home, 13th on the road. They're going to have to capitalize on their power plays at home.
Pedersen going to Stevens. He shoots again, and he
still can't hit the net.
Yeah, he might be pressing a little bit too much here. Still in trying to get that quick shot down low where he wants it. A little patience might help out. Here's Pedersen, right wing corner. And off Morrow's play, and the Islanders with a good effort to clear.
Well, you know, Mike, everybody reacts differently under pressure, and we might be seeing a tight Scott Stevens, but gosh, I mean, Brian Murray has to tell him, and I'm sure he is, listen, kid, all you got to do is get the thing on the net. We got troops standing there waiting to pounce on the rebound, and it's imperative that you hit the net. I mean, that shot is not supposed to go in the net from there. It is not designed to go in the net, and it shouldn't be intended to when the shooter lets it go.
Well, we're going to see Mike Gardner coming on here. He's a big man on their power play attack, and of course, after undergoing knee surgery, he'll play on the right point. They're going to bring Stevens to stay on the left side. He might be thinking the same thing we were just thinking about. Let's get it over to the right point for Gardner for a while. Now Gardner looking for Stevens. 1:20 to go in the Greg Gilbert penalty. The Islanders are shorthanded. 1-1 the score here in the second period. Game 1 of this best-of-5 playoff series. Pedersen, who has become kind of a power play specialist player, too. Seen more ice time with some injuries recently. Right side to Gardner. There's that slam. Shot right on. The stop made by Rudy. That's exactly what we were talking about.
Gosh, that came out of a crowd, Mike. I'm not sure that he didn't pick it up until the last second. You can't stop what you can't see. And it looked as if he just darted his left hand out at the last second. A heck of a shot by Mike Gardner. This guy Gardner, now you can see why he is on the power play on the point. What a shot from the point. And Randy Boyd was partially screening Kelly Rudy. He was actually trying to move Craig Laughlin out of the way. Here's the super slow-mo. Now watch Boyd take Laughlin's stick there in front of the net. Once a defenseman does that, there's very little a forward can do except hope to screen. You're really out of the play as far as being able to direct it. And now there's Laughlin trying to get to the puck. No way. Randy Boyd already has a stick. Didn't get called for it, so he got away with one. But you know, when you're down a man, referees kind of let that stuff go a little more than they do at even strength.
You're using your head, too. It takes a couple of years, about a year, to get used to that. You see the big boys do it when you're in tight, and you see that happening. You learn to do it real quick. All right, point. This is Larry Murphy now. Stevens Gardner comes off that point. And it goes back behind Rudy. Murphy played it up Trottier. Look at the hustle there by Trottier. Here's Bossy back shorthanded. You don't give him much room anywhere on the ice. 1-on-3. Stops the play. Slows it down, but he lost the puck now to Laughlin. 38 to go in the penalty. Stevens couldn't carry it in. Christian will turn and set it up. Last year in the playoff series, the Capitals only scored on 14% of their opportunities. They were 4 for 28, and one of the differences in the series. And Peters swings it out to Stevens with not much time. Maybe a final rush. Stevens trying to lay it up for Christian on the left wing. And that's going to be an icing call. Scotty Stevens had a tough time on that power play.
Boy, He had so many opportunities. You know, you can be a hero so quickly when you get all those opportunities. If you don't capitalize on them, your stock kind of drops a little bit. You know, you mentioned specialty teams, Mike. They're so important in these short series, aren't they? Because, you know, one game, one bad penalty kill can turn it all around. It's a 5-game series. Now, I don't think anybody would argue that in an 80-game series, which is what these guys just came through, a series against everybody, that the Capitals are a superior team. They finished with 17 points ahead of the New York Islanders. However, if you get into one of these short series, get those specialty teams working, and boy, you're down a couple of games before you know it, and then there's a big, big hill to climb right in front of you.
Well, the Islanders have an advantage here because they have the face-off at the Capital zone with 17 seconds to go in the penalty to Greg Gilbert. Kevin Hatcher will have to hurry it along. Ooh, put that out in front of the net. That was a dangerous pass. Unfortunately, nobody there. There's a delayed offside coming up here against the Capitals. Boy, they just couldn't make anything click to get it going. The one good shot by Gartner. They're down to 4 seconds left here in the power play chance.
What a dangerous pass by Hatcher in front of the net. That's a sign of youth. The kid's 19 years old. He's a 19-year-old giant, 6'4", and what did you say he was, too? He's somewhere between 210 and 220. I heard this morning that his weight fluctuates depending on how much he plays, naturally. But that's a sign of youth, and you really want to hope as a team and as a coach that your young guys don't choke under pressure. You know, a lot of these guys, I mean, very many of these guys that we're going to be seeing on ESPN in the playoffs have never been in this situation before. And you can only hope and pray that they will react accordingly and not really cough up the big one in front of the net. Boy, it's a long summer for some kid that coughs a big goal that they could potentially lose a series.
Well, Stevens has played in all 3 prior series against the Islanders.
Well, I'm talking about Hatcher more than...
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. And here is LaFontaine. Giving the puck to Randy Boyd. Boyd moves up. He'll look for LaFontaine. Back to Boyd. He's in deep on the play. Flatley will cover the point as the defenseman went in. Now the play, though, it's controlled by Hallward. Adams back to Hallward. Had trouble controlling. Laughlin right wing board, and his shot missed. Langwood. Oh, Rudy didn't see that one until the last second, but got a glove on it. Hallward took a swipe at it, got nothing but air. Gilbert having trouble clearing. Finally, it hops back to the neutral zone. Big collision at center with Greg Smith and Greg Gilbert. And the Capitals start in again. Potvin trips it away from Greg Laughlin. Potvin, headman pass. He loves to make that pass up the middle. It'll be Barrett. To Pedersen. Good burst of speed. Slows the play up. And he can't find Leach. Franciscetti collide. Franciscetti throwing out those checks like it's the first of the month. You got to make payment.
Forecheck, back check, paycheck. The 3 big checks in hockey.
11:38 left in the second period. 1-1 the score. Flatley moves in. Garrett got a piece of him. He tried to center anyway, but Pedersen cleans up his own zone. A penalty coming up, though. A high sticking call against the Capitals' John Barrett. The score here, the Islanders won, the Capitals won.
Give me a light. No. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer,
Thanks.
you never know what you'll get.
Nah, give me a light. No, Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
At the Spectrum in Philadelphia, New York Rangers on the power play. Watch at the point. Patrick DeSandstrom to Mike Ridley, his second goal of the game. That made it 3-2. The Rangers have just scored again. They lead the Flyers 4-2. Mike?
An upset going in the making there at the Spectrum in Philadelphia.
Boy, if they can take that first game, they'll really be a much larger giant step towards taking out the Flyers.
The Flyers won 18 of the last 19 regular season meetings, but, you know, Hidden Vickeries comes up and hits you once in a while, too. The odds can work against you. And the Rangers have a lead 4-2, but the Flyers have shown they've been able to come back a lot of times this year. John Barrett in the penalty box for high sticking. The Capitals are shorthanded. Here are the Islanders now in their power play opportunity. And it's in crucial situations like this. At about this point of the game, the Islanders seem to come up with a big goal at times, especially in playoff action. Janssen drills it in. Peters leaves it for Langwood. He gave it to Murphy, and Duchesne whacks it out of the air with his glove.
Boy, what a game this kid's having. He's really doing everything he's being asked of and more, and that's what the Capitals are going to have to have. Their role players are going to have to come through. Talked to David Poyle, the general manager, before the game. Let's face it, they don't have a Mike Bossy, and they don't have a Brian Trottier, at least statistically. So their role players are really going to have to do the job. Duchesne is one of those players.
Good play by Francischetti to move it in to the Islanders zone. Francischetti has worked hard tonight to Stevens. That one's on the net, and that one's stopped by Rudy. And the Capitals doing an excellent job of killing this penalty. Brent Sutter can't hold the pass. Picked up by Thomas Janssen. Janssen left side to Bossy. Bossy will leave it now for Crom. Slip shot, and that's off Peter's blocking glove and up into the crowd.
Boy, he caught all of that one, Mike. Crom really let that puck go. And, you know, he was an unknown commodity when he came to the Islanders, at least from an Eastern Seaboard standpoint. He played in Calgary and was acquired by Bill Torrey in a trade at the deadline. He and Steve Conroy came from the Calgary Flames in exchange for Johnson Elliott. He's really a kind of kid. He's 21 years old, and everybody's really impressed with him. He'll do absolutely anything he's asked, and a real good team guy. And he can shoot the puck. He's much better offensively than they had anticipated. Take a look at his shots. He really catches it all. Now, talked about Peters being a position player. Look how far out of the net he is, and that's one of the reasons why he was able to catch that shot with his arm. He really has to play the odds and play the angles.
Here is the face-off and a win by the Islanders, and now Bossy shot that one just wide of the glove-hand side. Up beat Peters. Stevens move it up, but not out. Stevens will try again, and that's off Crom's stick. Crom originally was the first-round draft choice of the Calgary Flames. Potvin, the Islanders captain. Went rink wide with it. Crom cannot get to it. Stevens. This is a good play by Stevens, and he'll turn and clear. Yeah, he's making up for the efforts he had on the power play and doing a good job of clearing the puck.
Oh, this guy might miss the net a few times, Mike, but he is a trier. You know, I really think he's going to be one of the premier defensemen in the league. He's big. He's so strong. He's very difficult to play against defensively because he's so good, and he has the offensive skills, too. Just a matter of time before he puts it all together. He's learning the game right now.
Duchesne hit by Crom, and Crom took the worst of that. Stevens again is right there, and a good play by the Capitals, and here they are, shorthanded. Gold right side, a slip shot, and a stop made by Rudy, the rebound. And it went in behind the net. The net was knocked off the mooring. And with 9:10 to go in the period, we are tied. Islanders won, the Capitals won.
When I wanted new golf clubs, I didn't buy the first ones I saw. I asked a pro. But when I needed a trimmer to keep my beard and mustache looking great, I didn't ask anyone. I bought the best around. The Groomsman by Wahl, with a one-of-a-kind attachment for virtually foolproof trimming. Wahl invented the electric clipper almost 70 years ago, and they're still #1 with hairstyling pros. So why didn't I ask a pro about Wahl? I didn't have to. I am a pro. The Groomsman and other fine products by Wahl. Ask a pro.
Well, we're going to switch now from the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland for a moment to the Forum in Montreal, where sometimes boys will be boys. Boston and Montreal no score, but they just had a big fight. Let's go to Dick Irvin.
And all of that. But I don't know what Lewis saw in the way of what happened when it all began, and then, well, Nyland could really get a serious penalty here. They could toss him out. Once the practice starts, if you start another one, they can say you're starting another battle after the first one began, and that would be an awful loss for the Montreal Canadiens. Well, he's not out there. He's in the penalty box, but he's not out of the game. Robinson goes in. I'm sure that... All right, now here's Robinson up against the boards, and Slager takes a run at him with the elbow to the side of the head. That's what upset Larry Robinson. Slager paid for that one as Robinson finally got into a position to flatten him and keep him pinned to the ice for a couple of minutes or so. And then everybody else decided to get into the act. Penalties coming up, Hockey Night in Canada, a Stanley Cup tradition.
So there you saw Dick Irvin describing what happened in Montreal. That elbow by Louis Slager upset the Montreal Canadiens and Chris Nyland, and a lot of penalties followed, and there is still no score in that game in the second period. Let's go back to the Cap Center, Landover, Maryland, Washington, and the New York Islanders.
And back live here, still tied at 1 with 8:46 to go in the second period. Thomas Johnson giving the puck to Steve Conroy. The Islanders will be called on an offside play here. At the Capitals line, they have people trapped inside. Well, the tone of the game, the way it's gone in the second period. Any thoughts, Bill Clement?
Well, I'll tell you, Kelly Rudy is earning his paycheck tonight. He's had to have that left hand working at all times, made some great saves. And the Caps are putting on a considerable amount of pressure. You know, when we went away, Mike, we saw a scene as we went away to join those other games of John Barrett lying on his back. He crashed into the goalpost and was helped off the ice. We're not sure if he's going to be back. He's on the Capitals bench right now. But thanks to the innovation of the shorter post that hold the goal actually in place, the net bounced off its moorings, and he doesn't seem to be hurt all that badly, but he took the net off of its post with his back. So,
Bob Carpenter now leads the way back. He'll go into the Islanders in, but he's jumped off his skates and has picked up left point to Stevens. He fakes a shot, moving down the board. Stevens throws to the net. Stop, rebound, Carpenter. Can he score or not? The light goes on. He did, apparently. Now a big fight breaks out with the play in front of the goal. Deneen and Franciscelli push and shove. The goal judge never turned the line on.
Boy, I'll tell you what, there will be a big argument over this because as you see Rudy and Gardner going at it, now everything's breaking loose. You can see Kelly Rudy talking to Ron Hogarth. Ron Hogarth lost sight of the puck, yet did not whistle it down, apparently. I think he might uphold this goal. The goal judge finally put the puck, finally turned on his light. Bobby Carpenter, I don't believe, scored on his original shot. And that's, Kelly Rudy is incensed because I'm sure he maintains that the puck was frozen, and either Ron Hogarth did not blow the whistle or the whistle was blown and he didn't hear it. We'll have to wait for something official, but see Hogarth backing up towards the goal judge or towards the scoring bench now, probably going to tell us what happened. Stevens moves the puck in front. Watch it, comes back to Carpenter. Now he shoots it and everybody raises their arms, but the light does not go on here. We can't see where the puck is. The goal judge put the light on at that point. The Capitals start to celebrate, and Lou Franciscelli says, listen, Rudy, something happened along the way here that I don't think was kosher. Now, let's take a look at it from this angle. Carpenter takes a shot. See if we can pick it up. Rudy's sprawling. There's the puck over right in the net. You can see it. Well, it looks as if it had bounced up and into the net. I'm wondering what the delay was by the goal judge. Now, we've lost sight of it. Now, we can only assume that it is in the net behind Kelly Rudy. At any rate, up on the scoreboard, it's 2-1. They've awarded the goal to Bobby Carpenter.
Well, Carpenter will get the goal, apparently. It's 2-1 Capitals. And the minor officials tonight working the game are from New Jersey. Franciscelli and Deneen will get minor penalties for roughing, but that's not the important thing right now.
No. And, you know, there's a big screen here in the Capitol Center that everybody at home can't see, so we work off of our monitor as well as this big screen sometimes. Another view came up on the big screen of that goal, and we could see it actually go into the net. I'm just wondering what took the goal judge so long. Hogarth seemed to know it was in, and the argument, I guess, was just over the fracas after the fact.
Fight's breaking out. Gilbert is going to go with Kevin Hatcher at center. Hatcher and Greg Gilbert.
Ooh. Watch this big kid go. Look at the big 19-year-old. That kid's 19 years old.
Here they all come.
Now everybody jumps into it. LaFontaine, little Pat LaFontaine dumps somebody, and there's a scrum line if I ever saw one. Only two players standing. Now there's still only two players standing. Hatcher is back up, so is Gilbert. The original combatants, everybody else is on their knees or on their back.
Well, they jumped in to try and help Greg Gilbert, I believe. The Islanders did, and Hatcher, who is 6'4", 207. He actually boxed at the same gym as Thomas Hearns in Detroit, is where he's from.
I'll tell you.
And he is not a young guy that you want to fool around with.
You won't see any one of these guys on either team take a backward step. There is so much animosity because of the playoff losses that the Capitals have suffered to the Islanders in the last 3 years. And boy, you know when sparks start flying, everything's going to break loose.
Scott Stevens. Down the goal, 11:46.
See Pat Flatley there arguing about something. Now here's a face-off right after the goal. It didn't take long for the Islanders to respond to that goal. Here's Hatcher. Oh, well, it looked as if Gilbert was going to take him out of the play, and Hatcher was actually the aggressor. Look at him. Boy, is he roughing up Greg Gilbert. Man, big
Flatley will go as the third man in the altercation, I believe. And we'll recap everything for you and tell you what's been happening there. In a moment, the score, Washington 2, the Islanders 1.
You're growing, America, and so are your copying needs. That's why Konica's Royal copiers are built tough. with all the features you demand for future growth. Zoom magnification reduction, double-sided copying, electronic editing, and more. For challenges as big as tomorrow, Konica offers a complete line of rugged Royal copiers backed by nationwide service. You demand productivity. With Konica's Royal copiers, you get it. Tough customers, tough copiers.
At the Forum of Montreal, the Canadiens are on the board. Watch Bobby Smith in the slot. Canadiens on the power play. The passing around the boards, and all of a sudden, number 15 with the puck shoots the quick shot, and he beats Pat Riggin. Montreal leads it 1-0. Meanwhile, in Chicago, the Blackhawks have tied up with Toronto Maple Leafs. Doug Wilson, who's had a great second half of the season, cruises in, fires from just inside the blue line. Toronto and Chicago are tied at 1. Let's go back to Washington and check in on the mayhem with Mike Lang.
Well, they're sorting things out here at the Capitol Center. We'll have the announcement of the penalties shortly. But right now, let's join Jim Kelly.
Mike, I just want to recap a little bit what the controversy about the Capitals goal was all about. Kelly Hrudey was complaining because Mike Gardner was in the crease, but Gardner was pushed in by Murrow, the New York Islander defenseman, so that's why Hogarth allowed the goal. But that's what Hrudey was so upset about when he bounded up like a jack-in-the-box. Gardner actually took him out of the crease when the goal was scored. So it's 2-1 Capitals, and now we've got to sort out those penalties. But that's what happened.
Well, it's tough to get a look here at who is in the penalty box from our vantage point. We'll just have to wait for the announcement to come up. 11:52, the time of the penalties. Well, we know Greg Gilbert will be going in along with Kevin Hatcher.
And the scene that we're seeing now is not the respective benches, but the penalty boxes. Full of Capitals on one side and just about full of Islanders on the other side. What do we got in there? 4 Islanders at least. It looks like, gee, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Capitals. Take a look over at the Islanders bench from here. I see 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 guys, including Billy Smith over on that bench. So they're getting close to being evenly dispersed between the penalty box and
well, apparently everybody that was on the ice threw penalty time.
And rightly so. I mean, there was a pile-up. There was a mile wide with everybody involved.
Here are the penalties for New York. Number 33, Steve Conroy, 2 minutes for roughing. Number 17, Greg Gilbert, 2 minutes for high sticking. Number 3, Tomas Johnson, 2 minutes for roughing. Number 26, Patrick Flatley, game misconduct, 3rd man in. For the Capitals, number 4, Kevin Hatcher, 2 minutes high sticking. Number 18, Craig Laughlin, 2 minutes roughing. Number 15, Alan Howarth, 2 minutes roughing. Time of the penalties, 11:52.
You've got all the penalties. They're back at equal strength, so it doesn't affect the play of the ice. And here's Bob Gould coming in. He'll take a slap shot. Randy Boyd blocked that.
33.
And it is controlled by Richard Braun. 2-1 the score, the Capitals lead. Duchesne puts one on the net. The rebound comes in front, and Gould can't correct it home. Now the Capitals of the team back on the momentum, starting to take it to the Islanders. Christian, left point to Langlois. He shoots one to backhand, and it's stopped at the right leg of Kelly Hrudey. That one will not get by him as Duchesne is hammered right on top of Kelly Hrudey.
Boy, Hrudey made a great save. The puck came from Langlois at the point, and who was right there but Gaetan Duchesne? I think he probably has 4 or 5 shots. We'll have to wait for something official after the period, but boy, Duchesne is Johnny on the spot. Let's go down to Jim Kelly for a recap on some other scores.
Right in front of us, Mike Lang, Kelly Hrudey is incensed, and there's Captain Dennis Potvin screaming at referee Ron Hogarth about the fact that Hrudey was upended, but it was Boyd, the Islander defenseman, that actually pushed Christensen down. 1-1, Hartford tied up with Quebec. That's in the second period. Boston and Montreal, 0-0, also in the second. The Bruins have only won 2 of 18 series they've played against the Canadiens. The Rangers with that surprising 4-2 lead against the Flyers, also in the second period of play. Toronto, a big 1-0 lead against Chicago in the stadium in the Windy City. And the St. Louis Blues of Jacques Lemaire up against Lorne Henning's North Stars, 0-0 at the Met in Minnesota in the second.
We are going to get a penalty here called against the New York Islanders.
Gosh, what an error of discipline, Mike. Kelly Hrudey has just been assessed a 2-minute unsportsmanlike. I'm assuming that that's what it was, but it looked like it from here. Let's hear it. Hrudey,
unsportsmanlike
2 minutes
conduct.
Unsportsmanlike, and let me tell you something. It's 2-1 in favor of the Capitals. 7 minutes to go in the second period. such an undisciplined move. That is the kind of thing that will lose a series for you. It's a silly, silly penalty, and it was just something that he was unable to contain. But I'll tell you what, it takes about 3 seconds after you're assessed a penalty like that before you realize, oh boy, what have I done? And Kelly Hrudey has put his team potentially in a big hole here.
And just to update you on that Montreal-Boston game, Montreal leads Boston 1-0. That's going to be a battle there. 2-1 the Capitals lead here, and Hrudey gets the penalty. Let's see who serves it.
Let's see if there's room for anybody to serve it, I guess, is a question at this point. And you know, when there's so many people in the penalty box at this time, Mike, the game can go any way. All patterns of the game, I think you can say, are white clean. The slate is white clean, and you start again because lines are broken up, everything's irregular, defense pairings are different, and so often a game can shift and do a complete 180. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Here in Washington, it's the Capitals 2 and the Islanders 1.
Summer in the city, back of my neck feeling dirty and dirty. Feels so good, so good. Come down, 7-Up, splashing on the mud. Pouring cool and clear on everyone. 7-Up, feels so good. Coming down. Feels so good. 7-Up.
In Washington, the Capitals lead the Islanders 2-1. Let's go up to the Forum in Montreal, where the Canadiens lead their ancient rivals, the Bruins, 1-0, and join Dick Irvin and Harry Neal.
Boston on the power play. They trail 1-0. Peterson to Linsman in the Canadian zone. Back to Barry Peterson over his stick. And Carbonneau has broken his stick. Puck comes for Facine, hits the outside of the post. Third goal post we've seen in this second period. Borka drive that deflects wide. Chelios in the corner, falls down. He's on top of the puck, and look out. We get Carbonneau. Is that Charlie Simmer who's upset? Carbonneau gave him a shot from behind.
Still 1-0 in Montreal. We'll return later. Now let's go back to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, where the Islanders trail the Washington Capitals 2-1. Here's Mike Lang and Bill Clement.
Power play chance here for the Washington Capitals with 1:39 to go. And the penalty to Kelly Hrudey. Dwayne Sutter of the Islanders wanted to serve the penalty. Potvin after it. Well, a goal here for the Capitals would be a big one.
Ooh.
Now Mike Gartner controls. Gartner. Carpenter came up with a big one to give them the lead. Right side to Larry Murphy. A shot hit the post. Rebound. Hrudey says no, and he holds it right there.
And talk about reflexes. Cat-like Kelly Hrudey. He had to turn around. He did a complete spin back towards the net to where he is right now. He reacted so quickly to that. He missed the first shot. Now the puck goes over to Murphy. You can't see him. And the shot will come and hit the post to the right of the post that's actually on the right to us. We should be able to see it from here with a super slow-mo. Watch for it.
It's underneath Hrudey.
There it is, right off the post. Now watch him spring around. He actually... I lost sight of it there for a second. I don't think he did, though. He knew it was under him, and the best way to stop things and get a hold of the matter right there was to just lie down on top of it. And good eyesight. He's got a mask that gives him good visibility. You know, certain masks give better visibility. You can see that his is cut out at the bottom. He has mesh. Now, the one-piece masks still don't give the visibilities that those cages do, although certain goalies still prefer that solid porcelain-type looking mask, at least. It's hardly porcelain, but it looks like porcelain. It's more fiberglass.
Well, Bob Carpenter, along with Mike Gardner and Jorgen Pettersson on the power play with 1:20 to go. But Potvin able to take that puck and find some open ice and take the heat out of a hot kitchen, which is really built up here in the Islanders zone. Scott Stevens and Larry Murphy work the point. Murphy's been a big goal scorer, 21 on the regular season. And he shoots it in. Boyd looks for somewhere to go with it. Bumped on the play neatly there by Carpenter. And it's worked over the glass and into the crowd. Well, it's Carpenter. Now they're battling it.
The Islanders and Capitals. It's a 2-1 game. Meanwhile, the Colisée in Quebec. It's 1-1 Hartford in Quebec. The Nordiques on the power play. Here's Rick Peckham.
The return pass, and Tippett anticipated that one well. Davey cuts back with Jarvis. And the Whalers off to an excellent start in killing off this Quebec power play. They had the final minute 18 if they needed it with a man advantage to this period. 24 seconds to go in the period. Siltanen takes the shot. Save Beaulieu. Rebound comes down to Tippett, and he'll sweep it out through center. 12 seconds to go. Both teams making End of period changes here. Peter Stastny trailed by Quenneville. Goulet bounced it off the shin pads of Patrick. Gavin waits and now sends it by Mulder as the siren sounds, ending the second period.
And so after 2 periods of play in Quebec, a tight one. The Whalers and Nordiques tied at 1. Now let's go back to the Capital Center. Landover, Maryland. It is still Washington 2, the Islanders 1.
On the power play, the Washington Capitals. The puck played away. Here's Trottier shorthanded. Trottier might have a chance here. Moves in. He shoots when the puck was on the edge. When he let it go, he couldn't get all of it. That puck was right on its edge. And back on the Capitals, they waste little time. Christian looking for Alan Hallward. Hallward loves to shoot in the circles. He'll go to Laughlin. Left point. There's Stevens again to Murphy. And the puck came outside the line. And the Capitals have to regroup and wait for people to get onside. 28 seconds to go on the penalty to Rudy, being served by Dwayne Sutter. The Islanders shorthanded. They trail 2-1. And a good play by Conroy to stop Stevens at the blue line. Christian forced it into a weird bounce back, came back to the goal mouth. Boy, Rudy got a break there, and so did the Islanders. Almost a gimme goal there as it came off the corner board.
Well, you know, if they do that by design, it's one thing to shoot it in, but when you get it up high so that it goes around the glass, Mike, you always have a chance of hitting one of the ribs that separates the panes of glass. So they know how this rink is. The Washington Caps playing it 40 times a season at home, so they know all of the little quirks about the building, and they'll take advantage of them if they can.
Dwayne Sutter is back on here now, and the Islanders back to full strength. But that one's off a stick and right up into the ground here. All right, they're battling the Hawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's join Tom Mees.
They sure are battling, Mike Lang. Chicago Stadium, and the Toronto Maple Leafs continue to give the Chicago Blackhawks fits. Their excellent rookie, Wendell Clark, Calder Trophy candidate, shoots and scores, beats Bob Sauvé. It's the Leafs up 2-1, now back to Washington.
Well, Wendell Clark enjoying a big rookie season. He had 34 to lead everybody on the regular season, and now picks up one in the playoff game against Chicago tonight. Boy, he's a tough youngster, too. Didn't have a lot of assists, but he's going to be a good one.
Here's a look at that shot that went around the glass, and it hit the rib. Look how close that came. Now, if one of the Capitals had been there, that would have been about like a 4-inch tap in, wouldn't it?
Well, that's kind of a goal that just breaks your heart, though, too. If you're on the opposition, a 2-1 game, I mean, you're saying, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's the kind of goal that can really put you behind the 8-ball emotionally.
The Sutter brothers are on with Brett Sutter and Dwayne, along with Bob Bourne. Brett Sutter, the younger of the two, and Langway handles the faceoff. Comes to Boyd, though. And he wristed one that sails wide of the cage. Steve Leach moves it up. Back to center to Alan Hallworth. Hallworth, Adams, and Leach. And Adams in the corner. Potvin, so strong. He moves in on Adams. Forced him off the puck. Leach plays it off the wood. But it's now taken by Bourne and cleared. Leach was a second-round draft choice in 1984 by the Capitals. Boyd misplayed it. It comes to Hallworth. Hallworth shoots one, but Rudy had an angle on that. And I think Hallworth got hit with a stick from Boyd as he got that shot goal. He's going to go to the bench. Appeared to be stunned. Back on the Capitals. Lead pass for Carpenter. And went beyond his reach. 3:59 left in the second period. Washington 2, the Islanders 1. And Gillies tried to drag it off. Fontaine, here he comes. His son, and Peters made that stop, and he holds on. He almost got that puck between his legs.
Boy, almost. He was in the right place at the right time. There's that positional play as you see another jam up. Boy, tempers are flaring, and you can bet the Sutters are in the middle of it, at least one of them. There's Dwayne with his back to us, number 12 for the Islanders. Pat LaFontaine's right in the middle of it, the little guy, and that's probably one of the reasons that Big Gillies and Sutter are in there to protect the smaller players. Let's go down to Jim Kelly right now.
All right, Mike, coming up in our second intermission, we'll once again rejoin Tom Mees with more scores and highlights back in our Hockey Central from around the NHL opening round of the playoffs. More games than ever before right here on ESPN. And we hope you're enjoying that super slow-mo courtesy of ABC. You know, we talked about the strength of Dennis Potvin and Bill Clement. Both Bill Torrey and Al Arbour were talking. It's a different Dennis Potvin, a little bit more mature. You don't think of more maturity, but the things he used to do with his legs, he's now doing with his head.
Exactly. And defense is a position, Jim, where he can actually learn to do that. When your legs go up front, your career is pretty well over. I know firsthand about that. But as a defenseman, you have so much to learn position-wise and about the game that you can really last a lot longer. And that's one of the reasons why Denny Potvin is still a force. And as a matter of fact, I think we could call him, Mike, a rejuvenated force this year. He's really had an outstanding season, hasn't he?
I think he's one of the big keys in this series.
Oh, without a doubt.
Here's Bob Carpenter. Carpenter. Needs to move it to the near corner, and Gordy Dineen looking for Clark Gillies. Ahead for LaFontaine. He can't get by Barrett. No, he got a good step to get by, but the puck's beyond his reach. LaFontaine, the smaller player. This will be an icing call against the Capitals. And we go to the Windy City again. Let's join Tom Meade.
All right, Mike Lang, we'll be back to Washington in a moment. Now let's go to Loud, Chicago Stadium. The Blackhawks trailed the Toronto Maple Leafs 2-1. With under a minute to go in the first period, here's Bob Cole and Gary Dornhofer.
Here at the Chicago Stadium, 53 seconds remaining in the first period, and the Toronto Maple Leafs lead the Chicago Blackhawks by the score of 2-1. Thomas on a power play for the Maple Leafs. At 3:46, Doug Wilson with a bullet shot to the blue line that was deflected off a Leaf defenseman's stick. At 11:49, and then Wendell Clark from Courtnall at 17:22, and the Leafs lead at 2-1.
Well, with Al Secord on the lineup, Bob Pulford has juggled his lines around, sometimes using Sutter on the left side. This time he's got Watson up there.
Ken Reagan is in goal for the Maple Leafs, the 22-year-old, and the 30-year-old Bob Sauvé is in the nets for Chicago tonight. Game one of a best-of-5 Stanley Cup Series. Toronto were successful 6 out of 8 times against Chicago in the regular season, and they're leading here with 50 seconds left in the first period, 2-1. Puck to Therrien at center. He dumped it in. Chicago Blackhawks come speeding back, and this is Savard. Savard coming in. Put on the brakes. It comes in front of the net. Watson shot. Reagan doing a juggling act. The puck went high, and Reagan turned back over to
Ken Reagan looking like a wide receiver.
Under the cross.
Ken Reagan looking like a wide receiver stopping that shot by the Blackhawks. It's still 2-1 Toronto. Now let's go back to Washington. The Caps and the Islanders. Caps on top 2-1.
The Capitals still with a 2-1 lead here at the Capitol Center. And we'll take a look at the action that you just missed.
Boy, you tell me that isn't super slow-mo. Everything's so nice and clear. Well, Stevens almost gets this one on the net. I think it's a little high. He's getting a lot of wood on it. Rudy goes up. Oh, gee, I don't know. That might have been labeled for the corner, Mike. It looked, you know, we saw it live that it was perhaps over the net, but boy, it looked like he had that one labeled, except this time without a screen there in front.
We're going to give you the shots on goal here in a moment. The Capitals have dominated here in the second period. They have the only goal, that by Bob Carpenter. Brent Sutter moving in, going to the left wing side. And a good check on Brent Sutter by Greg Smith. And here are the Capitals. Greg Adams. Poke it through traffic. Wound around the horn. It comes over to the near side. Hallberg trying to keep it in, and he can't. Less than 2 minutes to go. What are the shots, Billy, through the period?
Well, in the second period, Washington's out shooting the Islanders 16-6, and it's really an indication of how the play has gone, or a symptom of what's happening out here. It's overall, it's 25-14 in favor of the Caps.
And the Islanders might be fortunate right now that they're down just by a goal. This is Bourne on the left wing. He shoots when it was deflected in. Peters going to hold it. He's not going to take a chance at all as he takes that puck with a glove hand. Well, you got to look at it that way. Rudy's played pretty well. The one goal that got by him was kind of controversial, and he argued about it, but he's kind of really kept his team in the game.
Really has played well, and just saw Bob Bourne skating out of our screen there. He and the Sutters are really going to have to be a key for the Islanders, because Bossy was so far superior statistically to any of his teammates, with the exception of Trottier, that if a team is able to shut them down, the Islanders have to say to themselves, okay, who are we going to turn to now? I think they'd really lean heavily on that Sutter line. The two Sutters and Bourne, they were so valuable for them in the playoffs
and
last year.
And I don't think tonight, being honest about it, I don't think they played as aggressively as we have seen them at times during the course of the year. And I think they'll have to pick their play up in the third period. They'll have to go to the net a little more and create some problems for Mr. Peters.
Exactly right. When you talk about them playing aggressively, they have to do it in the opposition's end. So they have to dump the puck in, shoot it on Peters, and actually drive for that net. They're not as big as a lot of guys on the ice. You know, they make it up with a lot of heart, boy. A big part of every organization that Sutters belong to is made up by the Sutters. You know, a big part of the heart of every organization that they're in. Philadelphia, St. Louis, Chicago, here in New York. How many are there anyway? About 14 Sutter brothers? Or...
6 playing in the National Hockey League. Langway and Gillies pushing each other around pretty good.
Ooh, a couple of heavyweights there.
And the linesmen step in between them, and John Barrett comes over.
Well,
I'm not sure why Barrett. I think both men are capable of handling themselves.
Well, Gillies actually had Langway's head sort of in a partial Nelson there under his arm, and two helmetless giants facing one another.
Just a minute and 20 seconds to go. Well, there are 17 players, if I'm not mistaken, now left in the National Hockey League, and I'm not going to name them all, that do not wear a helmet. So the 400 plus, that's a pretty good percentage now that have gone to wearing the headgear.
Well, it's mandatory for anybody that comes into the league now, so it's a vanishing, you know, it's a dying breed, the helmetless players, so within a few years they'll all be gone.
How long do you think before the shield becomes part of the everyday wear?
Gosh, it's hard to say. You know, I think they're going to leave that optional for quite some time now.
Capitals lead 2-1. Late here in period number 2, and Clark Gillies leads the rush back for the Islanders. They force it around for LaFontaine. He can't get to it. Here's Gillies with a solid check on Greg Smith. And it's center ice. That was a play there where Smith had to pay the price to get the puck out. He might have known the check was coming, but he did pay the price. Back again to Capitals territory. Francis Kitty. Beating cross rink for Jorgen Pettersson. Now Murphy sets the play up on an offside call against the Capitals. Well, Gaetan Duchesne and Bob Carpenter have been the goal scorers for the Capitals, and Clark Gillies has the only tally for the Islanders.
You know, Mike, in our open, we made a big deal about the Capitals' injuries, and we have to mention that they really threw a curve at us because we were under the impression, according to most of the people that we spoke to early this morning, that Bobby Carpenter and Mike Gardner would not be playing. They are, in fact, playing, contributing pretty well, and, you know, injuries has been the problem with the Islanders, especially last year. They were really hurting going into the year, going into the playoffs at least. This year is a little different story. You know, the first quarter of the season, they suited up a total of 32 players, no fewer than 9 rookies. But coming down the stretch, they're pretty healthy.
Bossy just uncorked a heavy slap shot that missed. Ron runs into Scott Stevens. And the Capitals control with 27 seconds to go in the period. Duchesne comes to center. Rudy will take the puck around the goal as it was dropped in. Centering pass picked off by the Islanders. Just feeding the puck in, trying to get Peters to handle it appears. Comes off the right point. Boyd shoots it around the glass behind Bossy. He can't center for Trottier. And 4 seconds remain. Here is Gould. He'll have to shoot here in a hurry. And he did, but it never got to the net. That's the end of the period. Now only a goal in the period by Bob Carpenter. A man who probably, we were told, was not supposed to play at all tonight, and we saw him walking prior to the game, but he came up with a big goal to give the Capitals the 2-1 lead. The shots on goal, 16 for the Capitals, and the Islanders finished with 7. Tom Mees will be coming back with a look at what's happening tonight in other playoff action in just a moment.
Big boys got what it takes. Full tilt, all out, holy flakes. Nothing happened.
Puck in the Canadian zone for Rick Green as Carbonneau and Peterson have a little set to in front of the net. Peterson at center ice. Slager, and it's offside as Courtnall was in ahead of the play. Well, Louis Slager, as we mentioned, playing only 13 regular season games. Former Nordic, former Blue, and now with the Bruins. Face-off will be outside the Canadiens' line. We welcome the viewers who have been watching Toronto and Chicago as Peter Svoboda takes a shot here in Montreal. I'm Dick Irvin in the broadcast booth at the Forum with Harry Neal. A minute 12 left to play in the second period. The Canadiens on 2 goals by Bobby Smith and 1 by Mike McPhee, all in this second period, have a 3-0 lead. And Harry, maybe for the viewers of Toronto and Chicago, from you, a quick capsule of the kind of a hockey game we've seen here.
Well, Montreal's been the better team this period, and they have 3 goals to show, and Boston was much better than Montreal in the first and got no goals. So you got the game 3-0, and this looks like quite a mountain for Boston to climb, the way their shooters are not capitalizing on good opportunities.
Montreal's rookie goaltender, Patrick Roy, was the big star in the first period. At one point, the Bruins were out shooting the Canadiens. It was 11-1. It was 7-0, I know, at one stage, and he kept them in the game. They were lucky to escape with a scoreless first period, and they have...
So 3-0, the Montreal Canadiens continue to lead the Boston Bruins. Hey, the Edmonton Oilers are offline. Glenn Anderson has scored less than a minute into their game against the Vancouver Canucks. We'll have scores and highlights around the NHL on the road to the Cup on ESPN. Back in a moment.
I'm Roger Ray, president of the New Valley Motors in New Kensington. New because of exciting changes like a recently completed 16-car showroom. Look over your favorite models no matter what the weather. A new computer system to finance and insure your new car or truck, plus a new commitment to have the finest service department in the Alakiski Valley. We want our reputation to be so good that customers will want to buy their next Ford, Chrysler, Plymouth, or Dodge from no one but the New Valley Motors, 100 Greensburg Road, New Kensington.
There are some transmission shops in the area that want your attention, but not all transmission garages are the same. Joe Sullivan Transmission is different. You see, at Joe Sullivan Transmission, you get an honest appraisal of the condition of your transmission, and then you get an estimate of what the repair will cost. You don't have to be big to be an expert. Call Joe Sullivan Transmission or stop by. You turn off Greensburg Road at the Solo gas station onto Miller's Lane, go for a half mile. Get your shift together at Joe Sullivan Transmission.
Introducing the G-Shock 5200 watch from Casio. The sports watch that's ready for action with a built-in shock absorber. It's tough, so tough, this G-Shock can take a slap in the face and not even flinch. The G-Shock 5200, just one of Casio's water-resistant sports watches. It's one tough watch to beat.
Do you want to know everything about the NHL? You can with the NHL's own official guide.
Just started the third period. They're tied at 1. Michel Goulet behind the net for Quebec to Anton Stastny gave the Nordiques a 1-0 lead. But Mike Liut has come up big in goal for the Hartford Whalers, making a great save here, robbing Michel Goulet. Now, it's Liut again coming up big against Goulet. Goulet right in front, and Liut goes down and makes a beautiful pad save. Then less than a minute to go in the first period. Number 12, Dean Everson right there with the puck shoots and scores, beating Clint Malarchuk. And they're now just starting the third period at Le Colisée. Hartford looking for the upset, and Quebec tied at 1. Now, as far as the Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens go, well, Boston hasn't beaten the Canadiens in the playoffs since 1943, and at least up to tonight's results, it doesn't look like it's going to change. In the first period at the Forum in Montreal, we'll pick it up with a score of Boston 0 and Montreal 0. Rookie Patrick Roy has been sensational at times in the net for Montreal. Makes a great save here on Reed Larson, who can really blast the puck. A glove save and a beauty to keep the game scoreless. In the second period, still no score. About 7 minutes in, Matt Snaslin to Bobby Smith in the slot to make it 1-0. Then, later on in the second period, Ray Bourque takes a hard slap shot from the point and scores, but penalties on Keith Crowder and Brian Scriddlin nullify the goal. They waved off that goal. Smith has scored again. Mike McPhee has scored. And so Montreal, after 2 periods, leads Boston 3-0. That is at the Forum in Montreal. The biggest upset of the night brewing between the Rangers and the Flyers. The Rangers are totally outskating Philadelphia. In the first period, we're tied at 1. Watch now on a breakaway situation. Short-handed, the Rangers were. Bobby Brooke would score eventually on a breakaway. Here goes Bobby Brooke. Off the right board, shoots and scores. Then Philadelphia's Dave Poulin comes back with a goal on the power play in front. This goal made it Philadelphia 2, the Rangers 2. Mike Ridley has scored twice tonight. He made it 3-2. And Ron Greschner makes it 4-2. And the New York Rangers lead the Philadelphia Flyers 4-2. That game is nearing the third period of play at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. Toronto and Chicago. The Maple Leafs won 6 out of 8 from the Blackhawks this year, even though they had a much worse record. They only won 25 games all year. And the Maple Leafs broke out on top of this game at Chicago Stadium. Steve Thomas would score on the power play, and then they got a later goal from Wendell Clark, and they lead the Blackhawks 2-1 at the end of the first period in that game. Meanwhile, St. Louis and Minnesota are just beginning the second period at the Met Center in Bloomington, where we'll be tomorrow night for a live game. There is no score to tell you about there. Vancouver and Edmonton, Glenn Anderson has scored in the first minute of the game, and Edmonton has just scored again, so the Oilers lead it by a score of 2-0. Winnipeg's getting against Calgary tonight also. There is no score, as far as we understand, in the first period of that one. Our game from the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, is 2-1 in favor of the Washington Capitals on a goal by Bobby Carpenter, a disputed goal. They lead the New York Islanders. Now, I just told you a moment ago that in the second period at Minnesota, there is no score between the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota North Stars. We understand that there is a goal in that game, so let's go out to the Met Center in Bloomington. Dan Kelly and Ken Wilson are standing by to call the action. Let's go to to Minnesota for second period action.
Came to the point, and Norwood moving in, put it into the top corner. Lee Norwood giving St. Louis a 1-0 lead here early in the second period.
The goal comes just before the 5-minute mark of period 2. The Blues in the opening period outshot Minnesota 9-3. Now McKegney of the North Stars is shot. And that goes into the crowd as Plett ties up LaValle behind the net. And the players will come together. They all charge in this contest. It has not been all that physical. Early in the first period, Willie Plett and Blues captain Brian Sutter got together and each got 7 minutes in penalties. And early in the second period, Bourgeois, the Blues, and McKegney of the North Stars mixed it up and each picked up 2-minute minors. This is the most serious altercation thus far.
Well, it's Lee Norwood who seems to be the center of attention from Willie Plett. I think also McKegney was in there. Mark Hunter has a hold of Gord Roberts of Minnesota. So we had a fight between Plett and Sutter back in the first period, but it was a mild skirmish. And this is the first real outbreak, and again Willie Plett comes over. And it seems to be Lee Norwood that he's venting his anger on. By the way, the Blues just scored on a good drop pass from Hunter. It came to Norwood, who moved up from his spot and picked the top corner. And the Blues lead it 1-0. Hunter.
So the road team, the Blues, lead it 1-0. From the looks of things, referee Ron Fournier going to have his hands full controlling what is turning out to be a very emotional game. Now in Edmonton, the Oilers are making no mistake establishing superiority. In the first 38 seconds, Glenn Anderson, number 9, would score for Edmonton. There he is, just to the left of goaltender Richard Brodeur, fakes, then shoots and scores to make it 1-0. And just a couple of minutes later on the power play, Paul Coffey, who broke Bobby Orr's record for goals by defenseman this year, number 7, gets the puck back at the point, shoots, it goes in off the leg of a Vancouver defenseman, but it counts in the first period. The Oilers lead the Vancouver Canucks by a score of 2-0. And we'll recap some more of our Stanley Cup first-round action as there are 8 games going on around the National Hockey League simultaneously right now. We'll be back with more on the road to the Cup in just a moment.
If you're looking to protect your home, auto, business, life, or health, talk with the experts, the Altany Insurance Agency in Brackenridge.
At Altany Agency, we build quality into insurance because we really care about people.
And with quality comes quantity. The Altany Agency deals with more than a dozen companies, so they have more flexibility to tailor an insurance plan to fit your needs.
Insurance is our only business, and at Altany Agency, we do it right.
The Altany Insurance Agency, Brackenridge Avenue, Brackenridge.
Now's the time, and Nick Chevrolet is the place. Nick Chevrolet in Tarentum has the 86 Chevy you've been waiting for. And now every model has 9.9% financing available to qualified buyers, 7.7% on Chevettes. Every brand new 86 Chevrolet has 9.9% factory financing available, except the Chevette, which is still the most economical Chevrolet at 7.7% financing. Test drive the Chevy of your dreams today at Nick Chevrolet.
Hi, everybody. Larry Burnett here in the ESPN Sports Center newsroom. Hard to believe, but there are some other things going on besides hockey tonight. Let's take a look at one game that is going on right now in the National Basketball Association, Boston at New Jersey in the NBA. That game now in the fourth period, and New Jersey surprisingly on top of Boston by the score of 106-98. Now, there is also baseball. This is the first week of baseball season. Let's take a look at some games in progress tonight. First, in the National League, Philadelphia and Cincinnati are all tied up. That game is in the 10th inning. Eric Davis, the only home run in that game, that for Cincinnati, back in the first inning. San Francisco and Houston, it is the Giants on top of that game, 2-0. That one is in the fourth. Now, in the American League, 2 games on tap as well tonight. Kansas City leading the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. That one's in the 7th inning. George Brett with 2 home runs in that one for the Royals. And Toronto and Texas are scoreless. That one is in the 2nd inning. And the Toronto Blue Jays put Bill Caudle on the disabled list today for 15 days. He's got a bum shoulder. More hockey coming up. I'm Larry Burnett in the Sports Center. Chris Berman and I will be back with Sports Center at 11:30 Eastern Time.
This Boston Marathon moment is brought to you by John Hancock Financial Services. The 1985 wheelchair field of competitors was a strong one, with 2 former Boston Marathon champions on hand. 1984 winner Andre Vigier of Canada was a favorite, as was 1978 winner George Murray. This would be Murray's day, as he clocked a course, American, and world wheelchair record performance of 1:45:34.
And the Stanley Cup champion sometime in late May. Let's get right to the scoreboard. In our first round games tonight, in the third period, Hartford and Quebec are tied up at 1. Boston trails the Montreal Canadiens 3-0 after 2 periods at the Forum in Montreal. At the Spectrum, they're just ready to begin the third period of play. The Rangers surprising the Flyers 4-2. Also surprised, after 1 in Chicago, the Maple Leafs lead the Blackhawks 2-1. They're in the first intermission there. St. Louis, on a goal by Lee Norwood, has taken a 1-0 lead over the Minnesota North Stars in the second period. Edmonton has scored twice early on goals by Glenn Anderson and Paul Coffey to lead the Vancouver Canucks 2-0 and make that 3-0. Paul Coffey already has 2 goals in that game. Winnipeg Jets, Calgary Flames skating in Winnipeg, rather in Calgary. There is no score in the first period of play. In case you tuned in late, our game, the Islanders and Caps from the Capitol Center. Let's go to some of the highlights. Gaetan Duchesne. There's Dave Christian with the puck. Gets it to Duchesne in the slot. He beats Kelly Rudy. Rudy almost made a great save. Goes off his glove into the top of the net. 1-0 the Capitals lead. Still first period. Clark Gillies with a beautiful goal from Masson. Gillies swiping it out of midair past Pete Peters. Now the controversial goal. Number 10 with the puck is Bobby Carpenter on the backhand in super slow motion. It somehow eludes Kelly Rudy. The referee and the linesman confer. The goal judge was late with the light, but they said the puck did cross the goal line. Gillies and Duchesne. And it's 1-1 at the end of 1 in the second period. That lone goal by Bobby Carpenter. And what a game we have for you. Our primary telecast tonight. The Washington Capitals leading it 2-1. We'll be switching around the league as developments warrant. The New York Rangers have just scored again to take a 5-2 lead on the Flyers at the Spectrum. And Vancouver has scored, and they are on the board against the Edmonton Oilers. Mike Lang is standing by with Bill Clement to bring us the third and very climactic period, and maybe overtime. Who knows? Let's go to the Capitol Center. Capitals lead it, gentlemen, 2-1 over the Isles.
Well, I know Tom Means has had a busy night.
Guy sitting there in charge of all kinds of scores to bring us. So much going on around the National Hockey League. So many good matchups, too.
You got to look at it this way, Tommy. You can't get much worse. This is opening night. All 16 teams are involved.
That's right. By the semifinals, he'll have it slowed down
by
to
next
a wall.
week, you'll be in heaven.
Yeah.
Well, the lineup, Brian Trontier, Mike Bossy, and Richard Crom, they've been held pretty well in check by the Capitals, and maybe one of the keys to the difference of the game in a 1-goal lead.
Without a doubt. They've been outshot 10-4 by the Gould, Duchesne, and Christian line of the Washington Capitals, and they really have to get on track that the Islanders are going to get going here in the third, especially Mike Bossy.
Trontier against Gould, and the Capitals come up with it. Duchesne sneaks it in. Potvin back to play it. The Islanders have gotten pretty good goaltending out of Kelly Rudy here in this game, especially in the second period, where the Caps outshot them 16-7. Potvin leads the rush back. And Trontier moves into the corner. Boy, he at times can just kind of take control of the game just by setting the tempo. He's in the near corner battling with Duchesne. And Hogarth watches. Now he'll call for the, he's going to call a delay of game penalty maybe here.
God.
He was watching that play all the way, and I think he told some people, hey, play on. Don't try and freeze it. And I think we'll get a delay of game penalty here against the Capitals.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I can't believe he's going to call that. Exactly. He is giving Gaetan Duchesne a 2-minute penalty for delay of game. That's 2 calls tonight. One for the closing the hand on Boudelier, and this one on Duchesne that are, penalties that are almost non-existent during the playoffs because every penalty is so crucial. And referees, the NHL officials will tell you, we would rather not make a call that determines the outcome of the game or that has an effect on it. It's 2-1 Capitals here in the third period. We've just opened 36 seconds gone in the period, and he calls a penalty that by player standards would be called chintzy. They call it a chintzy penalty now. Brian Murray has had the odd explosion in his career, so we couldn't watch for him to break out and rip his sports jacket off and throw a minor fit here. He's got a small obstacle to overcome here at the start of the third period.
Power play chance for the New York Islanders. They're over 3 tonight on the man advantage. Here's Potvin shooting one, and it just missed. Comes off the right side to Thomas Janssen. Janssen looking for Bossy in the slot. There he is, his quick shot, and Peters stopped that one. Rebound, and Bossy can't get it by Peters. Peters with a couple of good stops here. Potvin in front, got a man right there. Crum, he didn't have time to tee it up. Gauthier will. His shot is stopped. Peters acrobatically makes his save. Now behind the net, Murphy put it up into the crowd. Oh, hallelujah, Hollywood. Peters just outstanding in the net.
Keith Peters being asked to do all kinds of things and coming through. The biggest save he made was a stick save on Bossy beside the net, but about 3 or 4 point blank. He really held his ground well. He's off his feet now. Langway dives for the puck. Trottier shoots. Look where Peters is, right in the middle of the net as Bossy tries to get him out of there. He's off his feet again. But gosh, a series of 2 or 3 saves in there that really, really came up big for the Washington Capitals. Kelly Hrudey has done it before that for the Islanders at that end. Watch Bossy with his back right against them. He shoves Langway. Peters gets that one. Puck comes back in front. Peters, that positional goaltending style, right in the middle of those 2 pipes, makes that save. Right out there to get his foot on it again as Trottier backhanded it.
Boy, is that some great camera work there. Trottier against Langway. Right point, it comes to Johnsson. He'll look for Potvin. Got him on the left side. He'll skate in deep. Good center and cleared neatly by Bob Gould.
Oh, what a penalty killer Bobby Gould is. Great defensive player, great team guy. Really had an outstanding game tonight so far, too, along with Duchesne and Christie, his line mates.
Bossy leaves it up to Trottier. Looks back for Crum. And to the corner for Trottier. Hit on a good clean check by Greg Smith. And the Capitals have the puck. And again they clear.
Oh, make it look routine now.
Bossy finds Potvin with 55 to go. In the penalty. Gaetan Duchesne, who went out for delay of game. Christian shorthanded. The Capitals had 13 shorthanded goals on the year, a new team record. The Islanders gave up 9 while scoring only 4. Brent Sutter on the power play now. He skates over. I'm molested. Look out, his shot, and it's off the glove of Peters.
Saved by Peters.
They let Brent Sutter go on that play. Now behind the net, here's Bourne. In front, Bossy's there. He can't pull the trigger. Boudelier will, and he missed the goal. Action behind. Peters picked up by Bourne there. Boudelier, he centers that one right by Johnsson.
Oh, lucky bounce for the Capitals on that one. The Islanders really have them on the ropes running around and tired, too, as they make wholesale changes on the fly.
9 seconds on the penalty. The Capitals are going to lift if they kill this one, and they will get it back to center. That should do it. Boyd going to Boudelier. Now Bourne and Langway battle one another. And the whistle sounds. We've got an offside play here. Penalty has expired. The score here in Washington. The Capitals 2. The Islanders 1.
There's a sporty vehicle that offers you so much variety, it fits right in with today's active lifestyles. The tough Ford Bronco 2. It's a hit with the Jet Set, and the Wet Set, the Trail Set, and the Sail Set, the Tow Set, the Snow Set, the Angler Set, and the Wrangler Set. Ford Bronco 2, around town or up in the mountains. You know it's built tough.
Get 9.9% financing on new Ford Bronco 2s.
Bill and Mike, I was down by the Capitals and Islanders dressing room talking with General Manager Bill Torrey. There was some concern in the New York camp that Paul Flatley, because of his third man in and the ejection, might be suspended from tomorrow night's game. That is not the case. Flatley will be able to play, but the New York camp was very concerned.
Well, a 2-1 hockey game right now here in the third. And a reminder to you that if they end tied at the end of regulation, we would go to sudden death overtime, but not the usual 5 minutes that's in progress during the regular season. It would be a full period. And then if they did not score in that, they would break and go for another intermission and come back and start a second overtime period. But that's a long way off. Capitals lead 2-1. Langway finding Franceschetti. The Capitals, who are at home this year, 30 wins, 8 losses, and 2 ties. An excellent record. Dwayne Sutter moving in. His wrist shot, and he missed by inches on that net. Peters takes it off the boards, and he will cover.
Well, I'm not sure that Pete Peters really had a good beat on that shot. It looked like it might have nicked his pad. Oh, Mike, what Jim Kelly was mentioning about Pat Flatley, you know, he missed the playoffs last year along with Greg Gilbert, and those 2 big wingers were really missed by the Islanders, and consensus was that had they had both of those players in the playoffs last year, they probably would have done better than they did. So with Flatley being cleared to play tomorrow night, or with at least that question being resolved, I'm sure it's a load off General Manager Bill Torrey's mind. They really need those big wingers.
Well, tomorrow night, Stanley Cup action continues when the Minnesota North Stars host the St. Louis Blues. The Blues are leading in that game 1-0 in game number 1. And that'll be an 8:30 broadcast time, Eastern time. Ken Wilson along with Mickey Redmond. And our own Jim Kelly will be there. This one has the Capitals in front by a goal. Trottier joined again by Richard Crom and Mike Bossy. Would you think that Al Arbour might entertain the thought of making a change on the left wing with Crom out here? Or do you think he'll stay with that or changing troops around here in this third period? It's been a pretty close game.
Oh, sure it has. I don't think that Crom is going to be the key to that line. You know, he is the lesser of the three lights with Brian Trottier and Mike Bossy there, and I doubt that that would make a difference. Al Arbour probably would spot that. He might try and separate Bossy and Trottier, but, you know, they're almost like twins. They're best of friends off the ice. They really play in sync with one another on the ice, and I think, you know, they have come through for him so many times that I don't think he's going to panic and break them up just yet.
Baudelaire swings one right on goal, and Peters, who appears to be getting sharper as the game goes on here. Makes that stop. Carpenter hit by Crom around the left side, and Duchesne. They can't get it out. Crom looking for Bossy. He was pulled down by Duchesne. No penalty called. Deflection by Trottier. Just went wide of the glove hand of Peters. And the Capitals have struggled there on that shift to get the puck out of their own end. Baudelaire winds it up, and now it's the Islanders with momentum. And we've got an offside play. We've got some scores around the NHL, and let's join Jim Kelly.
Big night as we're tracking all the games, of course, with Tom Mees with highlights. We've got Hartford and Quebec knotted up 1-1. That's in the third. Also in the third, the Flying Frenchmen all over Boston 3-0. The Rangers now, surprising score, a 5-2 lead against the Philadelphia Flyers at the Spectrum. Toronto clinging to that 2-1 lead against the Chicago Blackhawks in Chicago. St. Louis has scored. They're out in front of the North Stars 1-0 in the second in Minnesota. Edmonton leading the Canucks 2-1. And that's in the first. And Winnipeg and Calgary and Winnipeg 0-0. Update on that Rangers score. It is now the New York Rangers 6 and Bill Clement's old Philadelphia Flyers 2. How about that one, Willie?
Oh, that's a long time ago when you say the old Bill Clement's old Philadelphia Flyers. That was years ago.
Potvin freezes the puck, and the fans want to delay a game penalty against them. You know, in that game, we talked about at the outset, at the open of our telecast, the fact that the Capitals will be let down a little bit, not winning the championship, the Patrick Division on Sunday.
Right.
But here were the Flyers so confident. They came in and won back-to-back games over the weekend to solidify that top spot. They might have been a little too overconfident and might have reached that high plateau, and it might be tough coming back tonight, and it has been.
Well, you know, that race for the first place, even though they won the race itself is taxing. I think the ultimate result would probably be a little harder on the Capitals, but they had a lot of strain going down the stretch too, didn't they? And then they went and they actually accomplished what they wanted. They finished in first place, and they drew the New York Rangers as opposed to drawing the New York Islanders. And sure, they all of a sudden got a little complacent and got a little fat. Now they're down 6-2, just like that.
Well, it's a 5-game series. And that one's not over yet, so don't count it out. We've seen stranger things happen.
To coin an old cliche.
Yeah.
Not that you're never out of it when you're a member of the Flyers. They just keep on playing. They're just like a machine.
The Spectrum, there's a deflection off Boyd's stick. Rudy watched it go around the goal. Now Brent Sutter directs it into the Capitals end. 2-1. Washington leading with 15:29. Loose puck in front. And the Capitals get it out of danger. And it'll be Laughlin coming back 2-on-2. He's got a man on the left wing now, Hallworth. He shoots it to the net, and Rudy caught that in midair and held on. Well, that shot, if it had been down a little bit, he might have had an opportunity for a rebound play, but he got it up as he tried to work it to the goal.
And it came off of a play at the other end where a puck almost squeezed in between Pete Peters and the post. Clark Gillies trying one of those low percentage plays at the other end. The play comes down to the Islanders' end, and here's a lofting shot at the net that Rudy has absolutely no problem with at all.
I wonder if that one hit Potvin as he tried to move it in. I don't
Did it
know
look
if
to
it
you
did.
as
I'm
if
not
he
sure.
had... Well, we'll take a look at it. Super slow-mo. Or you can see it all. I wish I had a little super slow-mo camera in my back of my head when I was playing so that things wouldn't have been such a blur of colors out there. You know, the difference between the great players and the also-rans, or the grinders, is that the great players see everything very clearly out there. And most of us, when we play, it was a blur of colors. You know, you just have to hope that you're doing the right thing at the right time.
Here's Frank Deschetti with a heavy check, and the Islanders in on Thomas Johnson. Johnson cross-checking. He'll get a penalty for it. Cross-checking against Thomas Johnson. He was checked heavily, and the Islanders will be short-handed. Here at the Capitol Center, Washington 2. The Islanders 1.
Some copier companies make televisions. Mita doesn't. Some make clock radios. Mita wouldn't hear of it. You see, we believe the best way to make better copiers is to make nothing but copiers. A philosophy that's helped me to create some of the most remarkable copiers anywhere. After all, we didn't get to be the fastest growing copier company by making cameras. Mita, all we make are great copiers. Call 1-800-ABC-MITA.
At Quebec City, Kevin Denier, the Hartford Whalers. Number 11 with the puck. He'll take the shot from the blue line. John Anderson, the former Nordique, is there to deflect it in. Hartford leads Quebec 2-1. Midway through the third period, now back to Washington.
And the Whalers keep rolling right along. They've got the lead over Quebec in the third period. Hartford with a 2-1 lead over Quebec, and Mike Bossy coming back. Right now, the Islanders are shorthanded. A penalty to Thomas Johnson, a cross-checking call. And the Capitals can take a peek, make two-goal edge here if they can score on this power play with a man advantage. Larry Murphy. Rudy will stop it behind the goal. To Kim Morrow, and a good play by Stevens to hold it in. Stevens looking for Murphy. He can shoot it. Goes back to Stevens. Watch here. He's there. A shot. And it's stopped in front. I think it hit Laughlin to the Capitals. Bossy trying to golf it out. Can't do it. Stevens again a good play to Murphy. Slip shot. Oh, he missed the net by inches. Left point. It's all Washington now. Here's shot by Stevens and a skate stop in front. Pedersen right point to Murphy. Going to Stevens. He's going to pass it off this time. But Khrushchev turning shot block. And that one sailed up into the sea. Oh, the Caps are really coming down.
Some great passing by the Washington Capitals. Larry Murphy, and over on the other side, Scott Stevens keying the whole power play. Some booming shots in the point, and that time Scott Stevens was right on the money, wasn't he, Mike? Take a look at the action in front of the net. There's Steve Conroy, 33, along with Ken Morrow, and man, are they roughing up Craig Laughlin in front of that Islanders net. Look at that. Oh. Boy, you pay the price when you stand there with a guy like Ken Morrow. The guy's 6'4", weighs about 215 pounds, and his job is virtually to move you out of there. And when you're intent on staying there, you know that it will not be without a price.
Well, Bobby Carpenter has been a man that has done a lot of that work in front of the power play for the Capitals. Laughlin, too. Going to get penalties coming up here. Laughlin and Morrow both go off for high sticking.
Boy, that will be the, let's see, the 28th penalty, I believe, for the game. It will be the 14th to the Islanders and the 13th or 14th to Washington. Having trouble keeping track of them all. Calmed down a little bit compared to the second period, but that's a lot of penalties.
Still at 5-on-4. Murphy shooting one. The save made. The rebound right out in front. But a good read there by Brent Sutter to pick it up and sail it up ice. 59 seconds to go on the Thomas Johnson penalty. Carpenter skating like he doesn't have a bad knee at all. Here's Stevens feeding the puck into the left wing corner. And a heavy check by Boyd on Carpenter. They'll battle one another. Play continues. Greg Adams going to the left point to Stevens. His slap shot. In it goes! Goal that'll be called off. High stick on the puck. Somebody's going to go off on a penalty, I believe. I think Hogarth made a penalty call prior to the puck going in.
Well, it may have just had an effect on the puck going in the net.
That shot appeared to be low, though, Bill.
Oh, the shot was low, so he didn't signal that somebody had hit the puck with the stick over the shoulders. It couldn't have. The puck was hardly off the ice.
I think it's going to be a high stick.
Well, we'll get a chance to take a look at it here. Puck comes back to Stevens. Now, it looked to us as if the puck hugged the ice. He'll take a shot. Yep, it is low. And it just simply beat Kelly Rudy with its force, but somewhere out of the play, it's an altercation. Let's listen to it.
Greg Adams of the Capitals, 2 minutes each for high sticking at 6:13.
Adams and Boyd, coincidental minors for high sticking as we look at Rudy's attempt at stopping Scott Stevens' blast from the point. They were both sent off for high sticking, kind of an inopportune time to go off on a coincidental minor for Greg Adams. Well, there it is right there. Ron Hogarth was standing in the corner over to the right, so he had a real good view of it. You can hear the roar go up here at the Capitol Center when the score is posted up on the board between the New York Rangers and the Philadelphia Flyers. They see that 6-2 score in the third. How many Flyer lovers here in Washington are there, Mike?
Well, there's a lot of intense rivalries in the Patrick division. And this is a good one here, too. But the Capitals and Flyers battled all year long for the top spot in the division. Well, the power play remains into effect. 38 seconds left on the Janssen penalty. That's the important one. Boyd and Adams go off, high-sticking minors.
See Mike Gardner out there, number 11 for the Capitals, sore leg and all. Bobby Carpenter at center. So the two guys that were used as a psychological warfare tool against the New York Islanders are both out there. And, you know, Mike, we were both told today that both of those players would probably and most likely not be playing. So there was a definite mental game going on.
Carpenter on the play. Couldn't get it to Hallworth. The puck laid outside the line, and it goes back to center. Stevens will blast the puck in. Down to 10 seconds to go on the penalty. Right point. Here's Murphy. And his shot hit a stick. Mike Gardner handles it. The penalty is now over. Johnson will come on. He's got to get out of the gate. It's centered and deflected away to Brent Sutter. He goes to Johnson. Johnson is stopped by Larry Murphy and flipped up high in the air back to Islander territory. Well, the game remains 2-1. Here's Dwayne Sutter with a shot. The rebound, he got it right back, and Peter stopped that one. The rebound went right over the crossbars. LaFontaine couldn't get it in. Gilbert now centering, but Dave Christian takes it out of danger. Christian moving in with Gould. They can't control the puck and make a play. It's back to center ice. Greg Smith. Oh, is he hammered on a check by Greg Gilbert at center right. Back it comes down to Thomas Johnson. 12:23 to go in the third period, regulation time. Johnson waits for his mates to get onside. Dwayne Sutter is hit by Francis Getty. The Islanders center in front. Peters didn't know where it was. It hit his skate, and now a scramble. Who will get the puck? It squirts free, and it's picked up by the Washington Capitals. Leach got it out of his own in the center. Boy, the Islanders came that close to scoring the tying goal. Peters did not know where the puck was moments ago. Langway with a good pass to Francis Getty, trying to back Potvin in. That's a tough job, and he just throws it around their board.
Mike, they're not slowing down with the body either. They're just throwing their weight around more and more, it seems, as this game goes on. One thing the Washington Capitals have to be careful of is not going into a defensive shell here in the third period. Here in Washington, it's the Capitals 2 and the Islanders 1.
Welcome to Adventures in Insurance. Today we're talking to a man who lives in a treehouse.
Well, it has its ups and downs, but that'll change when I finish my tree garage.
Oh?
You see, I'm buying a car, so I can save on insurance.
I don't get it.
Well, when you insure your house and your car with the Hartford, you get up to 10% off both policies.
The Hartford, the company with the moose.
No, it's a Stag.
How do you plan to get your car up there in the tree garage?
Oh, no problem. I'm getting four-wheel drive.
Year after year, you'll like doing business with the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT.
At Le Coliseum, Quebec, the Nordiques push the puck up the ice. There's the pass from Stastny to Brett Ashton. It's Quebec 2, Hartford 2. That game is midway through the third period of play. In Minnesota, meanwhile, Dirk Graham, the hero for the North Stars, 21 in front, gets a beautiful pass, and he scores. And it is 1-1 there in the second period. Back to Washington.
Well, the North Stars tied the game against the Blues. Here's a look at Dwayne Sutter and the big action around the Washington goal.
Boy, that one caught Pete Peters up high. The hardest shot to control is the one that's up high around the chest. He not only stopped one up there, but a second one. And the trouble with those shots, well, there's a third one right under Peters' arm over the net. The tough part, Mike, about those shots that are up high is that you can't direct them. You have no control over the rebound, and you're really at the mercy of the... Oh!
Back to live action. Bobby Gould just tried the short side, and Rudy said, you're not going to put it there. Gould again, left wing corner. To the left point to Langway. His left shot, and that stopped off the left pass of Rudy, and work back to center ice again. Mike Fosse. Well, the Capitals with a couple of opportunities. The game opens up now. Fosse. He's weaving through traffic to Trottier. Fosse too well covered. Langway gets it, but he can't get it out. Morrow shoots one on. Didn't have much muster behind that one, and Peters was able to grab it.
You know, Mike, the Capitals are obviously in a, at least to me, in a prevent type of defense, and they have to be careful of that. It's nice to go into that type of defense when you just dump the puck out, dump it down to the other end. But there are 11 minutes to go in the third period. They have to remember, listen, we outshot this team in the first couple of periods severely, and now in the third period, it's the New York Islanders out shooting the Washington Capitals by a margin, I think it's around 10-4. And that statistical change is an indication that the Capitals are going back into that shell. They have to remember that they have to play in the Islanders' end. It's like holding your finger in a dike. You know, you can only hold it there for so long when it's the Islanders, so they're going to have to take it down to the other end. They can't afford to play the last 10 minutes of this game in their own zone.
No, we certainly did not expect the Islanders to quit in any way, and they haven't. Here's come on strong. Here's a shot by Franceschetti, and denied by Rudy, who held his ground nicely. Randy Boyd. Played away from him. It comes to Laughlin. Look out here. Behind the net to Adams, and Potvin steps into him. Laughlin, though, with the puck to Hallworth. Hallworth, heavy slap shot. Blocked by Boyd, who gave his body up. And to carry him all the way back to the neutralized area. And now big plays become an important part of a game like this in game number 1. Where you're willing to sacrifice and give your body up and blocking shots. And what happens? Because it can be every little thing that can make the difference in this hockey game. Here's Janssen, right side to Bourne. He's in. Left it for Janssen, turning. He has room. He goes to Gilly. He was turned around. He couldn't hold on to the puck. And here's Laughlin, 3-on-2. Swinging wide. Good move there. Centers it for Hallworth, but he can't shoot it. Laughlin's got it again. He's got a man on the center point. Penalty coming up here. Here's Smith shooting. And it's a puck that just wide of the glove hand of Rudy. Penalties coming up against the Islanders. They'll be shorthanded. The Capitals have pulled their goaltender. Right in the slot, picked off by Bourne. The power play goes to the Capitals. The score, the Washington Capitals 2, the New York Islanders 1.
The traditional vacation in the family car. Except one thing's changed. The family car. The new Ford Taurus. One car designed to meet all your driving needs, as well as the needs of those you're driving.
Now there's an American car that has exactly what we've been looking for. For us. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Mark Gillies, the holding minor at 10:06. Along with Bill Clement and Jim Kelly, this is Mike Lang at the Capitol Center. Well, another big chance here for the Capitals to try and add to their lead.
Well, I think it would be premature to say that if they get a goal in this power play, they could put it away, but they could certainly make life a lot easier for themselves.
They were strong in the power play chance they had before. They just could not get it by Rudy. Here's Franceschetti. Around to Bob Carpenter, and he is hit by Trottier, who worked him over. All right, Murphy from the right point, and Rudy got a glove up to make that save.
How good has Kelly Rudy's glove been tonight?
Well, I was watching Trottier and Carpenter along the boards, and Trottier really gave him a shot. And he came back with a stick on Trottier. Here's that shot.
Kelly Rudy's glove, left hand, always there. You know, and goalies are trained, and the ones that remember it are trained to keep their glove out there. Watch Kelly Rudy. Before the puck even comes, he has his hand up. Now he has his glove over to the side. Before that shot even came, he was ready for it. Sign of some good, very good basic goaltending, and he claims that one of the things that made him the goaltender he is reading Jacques Plant's book on how to be a goaltender. And I'll tell you what, it's very difficult to learn something like that. If somebody just gave you a book, say, to play tennis and said, listen, learn how to play the game, it would be very difficult, wouldn't it? Jacques Plant was such a master of the basics that you could actually take that book and learn some very, very strong basics. And that's what Rudy has done, and it really shows.
Dennis Potvin able to find the opening. That takes some of the pressure off with 1:33 to go, and the penalty to Clark Gillies. Scott Stevens looks for somebody open. It's Larry Murphy, but Johnson's on him. Johnson, Richard Crom killed the penalty for the Islanders and their coach Al Arbour. Conroy and Morrow back. Stevens winds his way and lost it. And again, the Capitals have to retreat.
You see Scott Stevens shrugging his shoulders in frustration over there. You know, the one thing the big kid has to watch out for, Mike, is not trying to do too much himself. He's got 5 other guys on the ice with him, including his goaltender, is one of the 5. So really has to make sure he makes a smart play and not try to do it all himself.
And again, he lost the puck, and he's having suffocated them. Power play. Mike Gardner. He left it for Craig Laughlin. And it's a late offside call.
Good offside call, too, by John D'Amico. The pass came along the blue line and actually didn't cross the blue line. So it was Johnny on the spot. He's got a good eye. He's one of the senior officials. He doesn't make many mistakes.
Hey, you took a look at Craig Laughlin. Boy, the Capitals have had some people that have really worked hard here tonight. It's been a good hockey game, to say the least, between the Islanders and the Capitals.
There's another guy that worked hard, Brent Sutter. Of course, that goes along with the Sutter genes, that hard work ethic. Brian in St. Louis, Darryl in Chicago, the twins, Rich and Ron in Philadelphia, and Darrell and Wing. Here, no, Brent. There's so many of them, I'm getting them all mixed up. I have them all right except the game we're doing tonight.
Hatcher moving in. Hatcher trying to shoot it. He can't. It comes to Christian. His heavy slap shot right up on Rudy's offhand, and he held it on. Now they're playing in Quebec City. The Whalers and Nordiques. Let's go to Tom Meade.
They sure are, Mike. The Whalers and Nordiques are tied up at 2 late in the third period at Le Colisée. Let's go live now to Quebec City and Rick Peckham and Don Blackburn.
Paul Gillett, spring free centers, and Samuelson right on the doorstep to knock it away. From the point, Siltonen fences with Ron Francis. Eagles get to the Gillett. Across to Cote. He hit the goal post. Alain Cote had trouble controlling it. Picard with a shot that's wild. Siltonen from the point. A diving Francis poked it out of Risto's reach. Lifted ahead to center by Clonadors. Picard is back with Deneen trailing. Passes angle to Eagles. Sails it into the corner. Quenneville plays it ahead for Dave Tippett. Gave it up to Anton Stastny. Samuelson will take it. 2:05 remaining in regulation. Tied at 2. As it's rolled in deep at Ashton. Checked by Tippett. And
Well, it's 2-2 tie late in the third period. Now let's go to Washington.
Well, the Washington Capitals have just scored to take a 3-1 lead on a goal by Dave Christian. Dennis Potvin tried to clear, but it came right off his stick to Dave Christian, and he drilled it home.
Well, it was the culmination of a whole bunch of hard work by the Washington Capitals. Laughlin's in there deep. Now the puck is going to come over to Kelly Rudy's left, our right. That's Jorgen Pettersson. He's going to backhand it. It goes between Rudy's legs. And for a second, everybody thought that it was a goal. We're going to take a look at super slow-mo here. There's Laughlin with the puck. The puck will come over down to the bottom right part of the screen. There's Pettersson. Now watch as he backhands it right between Rudy's legs off the post. That wasn't enough, but look at that. Christian right there, Johnny, on the spot. Dennis Potvin was a microsecond away from clearing the puck, but Christian beat him to it. 3-1 Capitals.
So the Capitals now with a 3-1 lead. And the penalty to the Islanders had expired 10 seconds prior to that. So Christian came on. And it's taken by the Islanders. And Johnson now with the puck going right side to Trottier. He'll skate up into the Capital zone. Trottier, penalty coming up against the Capitals. They pull down Mike Bossy. And the Islanders will get a power play. And so, from Landover, Maryland, the score, Washington 3, New York 1.
In the Army, we do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
Hey, First Sergeant. Good morning.
Hey, where did you learn about computers?
In the Army.
You were in the Army, too?
Qualify for the GI Bill and the Army College Fund, and you can earn over $25,000 for college.
What you do in the Army?
Airborne.
You used to jump out of airplanes?
There's a look at Bobby Gould, who's off for holding here for the Washington Capitals. 6:55 to go in the third period. That'll give the Islanders a valuable opportunity to close that gap. It's now 3-1 Capitals. Take a look at some of the action along the far side with Rod Langway.
Well, we're back to live action. And the Islanders, you would think, with 6:45 to go in the third period, need a goal here to get back into it. Here's LaFontaine, left side to Bourne. He's got a chance. Moves in. But Peters had the angle covered neatly. Bourne couldn't get over to get to his backhand. I think that's maybe the move he should have made. LaFontaine on the right wing. To Potvin. To Janssen. Back now to Potvin. Fakes the shot. Going to Janssen again. 2-1 on. And off the right leg of Peters. LaFontaine back to Janssen. And moving the puck well, Bill. Janssen cranks it up. Peters against Dr. Rebound LaFontaine. Peters says no, and he has it. No, he doesn't. It's loose. Nelly grabbed it and held it right there.
Peters.
I don't believe it.
Unbelievable. We talked about his positional play. Mike, other than that Gillies goal, he has been absolutely flawless here in the third period when they need him the most. Look at Pete Peters now. Watch his position right in the middle of his net. Even though he's out in front of the crease, he has the instinct to know where it is. He loses his balance on that first save. He gets up. He'll make another one. Boom off the pads. The Sutter standing right there in front of him. Now the puck will go from left to right. Watch it go through your screen left to right. There it is right under Peters' arm. What an outstanding game he's had. Both Kelly Rudy and Pete Peters have really had outstanding games. It's a 3-1 game. Could very well be 7-6, 9-8. Oh.
1:16 to go on the Bob Gould penalty. The Islanders knocking at the door right now. Trying to take advantage of a situation here where the Capitals made a mistake. And it is swung out of the Capital zone and up ice all the way to the Capitals netminder, Kelly Rudy. This will be Randy Boyd to Paul Boudelier. Trottier, Bossy, and Crom up front. Boudelier and Boyd take the point. Crom comes in. He'll get away from Langway. Good play to Trottier. Trottier put it in front for Crom. He couldn't shoot it. Larry Murphy putting pressure on. There's Duchesne again. And he takes that heat out of a hot kitchen again. And we're down to 33 seconds to go on the Bob Gould penalty. 3-1 Washington. The Islanders stopped at the blue line one more time. Boudelier, though, will skate quickly in. And an offside call against the Islanders.
Oh, there's a little action going on out there now between Boudelier and Gaetan Duchesne. You'll see a lot of these rivalries being established in this first game and being carried right through the playoff series. And they're the ongoing kind of running confrontations. One probably setting up now between Boudelier and Duchesne. And boy, they're tough rivalries when you get those independent individual rivalries. And besides the actual big picture, you get a lot of individual wars that are going on out there, battles in spite of the big war.
And you got to realize, too, Bill, that these two teams played each other 7 times in the regular season.
Yeah, they know each other very, very well.
Putback to Thomas Johnson with 17 seconds to go on the Washington penalty. And dug out of there by LaFontaine. LaFontaine. He tried to center in front for Dwayne Sutter. Can't connect on that. And the Capitals have it, and Scott Stevens flipped it up in the air. It'll come to Dave Christian. He will get it out. And that is it. The end of the penalty to Bob Gould as he steps on board. They're at equal strength again. Under 5 minutes to go in the third period. 3-1 Washington. Greg Adams looks for room, and boy, is he being pressured by LaFontaine, but he's able to drop that puck into Islander ice. Randy Boyd trying to hurry. Boyd up left side to Gilbert. He runs into Kevin Hatcher. Those two won it at it earlier in the game. Drawing major penalties. A big collision with Barrett knocking down Gilbert. And Brent Sutter comes over. The hitting has continued all night long between these two teams. It's been a classic playoff game, and the Islanders find themselves down 3-1 here in the third period with 4:07 to go. Hatcher moving the puck to Craig Laughlin. He'll be content to work it in. Going back forward to be Hallworth. Hallworth to Adams, who was hit from behind by Brent Sutter, number 21. And Conroy leads the rush back. The Islanders might have a chance here at 3-on-3. Brent Sutter right side. And he shoots it right over the head of Pete Peters. Bob Bourne looking for Clark Gillies. Gillies center. Brent Sutter and a Bourne. He's there. His backhander. Peters stops it. The rebound. Back out to Conroy. Now to Janssen to Conroy again. Push one wide of the net. Dragged along on the near side by Brent Sutter. He walks on the goal line. Comes in. He's got the play. Can he shoot it? He does. But Peters again stops him cold. Pete Peters bigger than that. Let's go down to Jim Kelly.
All right, Mike, some excitement up in Quebec. The Whale, 2-2, going into overtime. Hartford and Quebec. Meanwhile, in Montreal, the Bruins blasted by the Canadiens 3-0. That's late in the third. The Rangers sticking it to the Flyers in Philadelphia 6-2. A huge upset there. Toronto leading the Blackhawks in Chicago. That's in the second. 1-1. The St. Louis Blues and the North Stars tied up in Minnesota. That's in the third. Edmonton leading Vancouver. That's 3-1. And Calgary now has taken a 2-1 lead against Winnipeg. You know, at the Capitals workout this morning, Bill, I asked Brian Murray exactly what it would mean early in the hockey game for some of his youngsters to be getting experience. He laughed and he said, I'm not conducting a learning experiment. I want to win.
Well, there's no time for a learning experiment. It's only a 5-game series. So what he was saying was, listen, they're in the heat of the battle. This is not an experiment. This is not a test. Don't adjust your sets. This is a real thing, okay? He's gotten some good mileage out of his kids, too.
Another shot right on Peters. That's 17 in the period by the Islanders, but they've failed to score against him. Langway trying to dig it free. And Hogarth blows the whistle. The score here in Landover. The Capitals 3 and the Islanders 1.
Give me a light. Go. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light.
Thank you.
Because everything else is just a light.
You see the time left, 3 minutes and 14 seconds here in regulation time. The Islanders need a goal. Here's a shot from the left side off the leg. Never take it to the cage. Now Larry Murphy behind his own net. The Islanders have really come on strong here in this third period. And they have it again. Right point, Janssen. He'll shoot one. That was deflected. And Bossy was hammered to the ice. Bossy trying to backhand one to the goal. He can't do that. And here is Scott Stevens. He will flip it in. Islanders out here working against the Gould line. Christian, Duchesne, and Gould. Worked around to the near wing, and it's picked up by Richard Crom. Crom to Trottier. He steps in. Oh, Stevens trying to line him up with a hip check. Couldn't do that. Trottier, he's been around too long. Read it perfectly. Stevens with 2:20 to go in the third period. To Potvin it goes. And he can't find the net. Boyd will come in. They'll have to gamble now and start sending people in around that goal. And it's squared away up the wood. And here comes Christian. Left wing to Duchesne. Nice play to take the pass. Right side of Christian. He's there. A shot. And Rudy got a piece of that. He read the play perfectly, did Rudy. Dwayne set her up. He's trying to get around Steve Leach. Knocked down by Leach. And Langlois. Lead it up to Greg Adams. Francis Kitty. And Francis Kitty finds open space back into the Islanders zone. The Rangers tonight have beaten Philadelphia 6-2 to take a one-game lead in that best-of-5 series. And that's the big upset of the night. No question about it. 1:35 to go. And the Islanders are running out of time. They're down by 2. Kevin Hatcher spins it in. Rudy around. He can't clear. Hatcher let one go, and it went off a body.
The Islanders got to get the puck down to Washington's end now so they can get Kelly Rudy out of there. It's no use leaving him in. They want to go to the extra attacker. Let's see if they can get him pulled here. He's asking for some advice. He's slamming his stick on the ice. Now they're calling him. No, he's staying.
Johnson did not hold it in. It's played away. Back on the left side, Francis Getty. He's got Laughlin cutting for the net. Put it in front to him, and he can't deflect it in. A minute to go in the third period. 3-1, the Capitals have the lead. Hatcher trying to take it away from Pat LaFontaine. And Hatcher does get it to Francis Getty. He'll shoot it towards the net as Rudy had come out. This will be an icing call. Randy Boyd will touch it. We have an icing call with 41 seconds to go. And they'll bring it back into Capitals ice. And Rudy apparently will come off, and somebody will call a timeout to set up the game plan.
Boy, things are sure looking good for the Washington Capitals now. 41 seconds to go, and Kelly Rudy will finally get over to the bench as the Islanders have called a timeout to discuss their alignment here going into the final 41 seconds. Kind of a tough road. You know, they're going against one of the best defensive teams in the National Hockey League in the form of the Washington Capitals. So it's pretty dim hope, a dim light that's flickering for the Islanders at this stage of the game. 41 seconds to go with a 2-goal deficit facing them.
If they lose this game, the Islanders, they played so well in the third period. The effect of game 2 coming up tomorrow.
So difficult to say. You know, they went ahead. They lost the first 2 games last year, and when quality teams are involved, I think it's safe to say that the emotional ups and downs don't have as great an effect on them as, say, teams of without the, you know, the moral fiber, if you will, running through them, that leadership and the guys that are willing to sacrifice, the guys that have been there before, the guys that have competed in the playoffs. And there's a lot of experience on both of these teams. There are a lot of young kids, but there's strong enough leadership that I don't think it'll affect the Islanders. You know, they'll forget it. They'll put it out of their minds. They're very professional about it, and they'll come out tomorrow night the same way as they did tonight. All, both barrels loaded.
Oh, I was kind of thinking it might give them a lift going to the opening period tomorrow, even if they do lose. Although the Capitals are a team that, after 2 periods of play this year, have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're 38-2-4.
Yeah.
And when they get a lead on you, just like the Flyers, they're very, very tough to beat.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you're right. If there's one thing that the Islanders can cling to as a positive going into tomorrow night, and they will look for the positives if their third period play tonight.
Goaltender pulled, extra attacker on, and again it's played over the glass. So the 6th attacker is on here for the New York Islanders. They have an empty net.
How about Brian Murray's decision to start Pete Peters tonight, in spite of the fact that Jensen had a heck of a year? Pete Peters has played the last 4 regular season games and got the nod. He's had a lot of playoff experience. There he is in the crouch, resting, waiting for the next shot to come at him. But gosh, what a game he's had tonight. Really outstanding. Both goalies deserve pats on the back. Peters really in the third period. When it come right down to it with the game on the line, Peters has been there for every shot.
Peters is 21-20 in Stanley Cup playoff competition, a 3.34 goals against average. Not overly impressive statistics, but the Capitals really figure with the trade they made, he would really help them in the playoffs. Well, game 1 certainly has been a good enough reason to believe that trade helped them. And there is Crom going to Bossy. He shot one block. Empty net, remember. Up with it is Gould. Gould shoots it into Islander ice. It'll be an icing call. No, it's not. The Islanders have to go back. They lose it. For a moment, Duchesne couldn't quite handle it. 24 to go. Duchesne slips it up behind the goal.
Good play by Duchesne, Mike. Just dumped it in behind the net instead of trying to go for that big, gaping, sure goal.
Janssen with 13 to go. Potvin trying to carry it in. He'll shoot it up around the net, and it's off the stick of Peters. 7 to go in the game. Centered in front. Here's a man right there open as Boston. Crom can't find him. 2 seconds. Play will be stopped, though. Play will be stopped with 1 second to go in regulation time, and the Capitals will take a 1-game-0 lead over the New York Islanders in this best-of-5 series. And they did it with good, strong defensive play and some great goaltending by Pete Peters tonight.
Well, they've really played playoff hockey, haven't they, Mike? They've had everything going. Scored 3 goals against the tough defensive New York Islanders. They've played flawless defensively. Pete Peters has been there when he's been asked to be. Gaetan Duchesne, Bobby Gould, Dave Christian, what a game they've had. And getting a deserving round of applause from all of the Washington Capitals fans here in Landover. Some frustrated fans, too, wouldn't you think, after the years of coming close over the last 3 years, and say nothing of the 6 or 7 years before that when the Capitals were just atrocious. So that ends it.
Well, they dropped the puck and the game has ended. But the pushing and shoving continues here at the end of this battle between these 2 Patrick Division rivals. But hopefully cooler heads will prevail here as the Capitals have won Game 1. Game 2 will be played right here at the Capitol Center tomorrow night. Game 3 and 4. Game 3 on, of course, Saturday. Now Gillies coming over to say something to one of the Capitals there.
He's taking the long road home, isn't he? His door is over on the other side of the ice. He keeps curving around and hanging around the Capitals. He's telling them, look out for tomorrow night, guys. We're not going to die. We're not going to shrivel up and disappear. We are the New York Islanders. This is an organization full of pride, winning tradition that has been established in New York. You know, a guy like Clark Gillies isn't going to just turn into a shrinking violet and disappear.
Well, Hogarth apparently has things pretty much under control. The only goal in the third period, Bill Clement, was led by Dave Christian, the big insurance goal. Despite the Islanders out shooting Washington heavily, the Capitals come up with a win.
And a big win, too. In these short series we mentioned during the game, best of 5. So this means that the Washington Capitals now have to win 2 of the next 4. And that's a pretty good situation for them to be in. Final score here from Washington was the Capitals 3, the Islanders 1.
And we'll be right back here to Landover right after this message.
Save big money on your next car or truck with Lieberth & Sons Dodge by the Bridge in Oakmont. Right now, get 9.9% APR financing or up to a $1,000 rebate on selected 86 models in stock. For example, get a new Dodge Aries SE 4-door loaded for only $92.43 with rebate, or choice 9.9% financing. See the Dodge boys at Lieberth & Sons Dodge in Oakmont by the Bridge, where you get a good price without giving up good service. Riverside Marine in Harmarville, your complete boating center has a fleet of Imperial boats for you to choose from. Come on in and check out the Imperial cruisers powered by Mercruiser stern drives and built upon the patented Omnihull. You'll find the Omnihull provides fast planning ability, quick response, and fuel economy.
More horsepower than even Toyota's turbo. And Ranger's 140 horses mean down-to-earth power. Power to run. Power for real driving fun. The Ford Ranger STX Super Cab, voted 4x4 of the year.
The Islanders got some needed revenge. Even though Washington won the season series from the New York Islanders 4-3, they did what they had to do. They took 1 out of 2 here at home at the Capitol Center against the New York Islanders. An impressive 3-1 win. Certainly impressive for Pete Peters, who was absolutely sensational between the pipes for the Washington Capitals. A very strong game, too, for Rod Langway, the all-star defenseman for Washington, who was equal to the task when he had to be against the New York Islanders tonight. So now New York has to win tomorrow night to square up the very short series 1-1 before heading back to the Nassau Coliseum for a game on Saturday night. Some final thoughts now from our play-by-play man, Mike Lang, and our expert analyst, Bill Clement.
Thank you very much, Jim Kelly and Bill Clement. Really almost kind of a typical Islander Washington game, this time with the Capitals coming out on top.
It's the kind of game that tires you out even to sit up here and watch it. Really a classic playoff confrontation, which is just what the doctor ordered for everybody. I mean, fans, viewers, players, really nice confrontation. Some of the keys that we mentioned, the matchup between that Duchesne line, the Bobby Gould and Dave Christian, that was a real important matchup as it turned out because it was dominated by Washington. The goaltending was superb. It was a heck of a hockey game all around, and the little edge went to the Washington Capitals.
All right, you look at the game now. A 3-1 victory. Very quickly, could the Islanders start Billy Smith tomorrow in goal against this team?
Boy, they very well could. I mean, we don't know. We sit here. I mean, they had us believing different things at certain times today, so we have to wait and see. One thing we know is Kelly Hrudey played an outstanding hockey game, so goaltending was not their problem. I think they just ran into a superior Washington Capitals team tonight. The psychological game that Brian Murray played with his injuries perhaps worked a little bit, too.
All right, a 3-1 victory for the Capitals. Let's go back now to Jim Kelly.
All right, guys, I'll tell you one thing, because the Islander locker room is only about 8 feet on the other side of that door. The general manager, Bill Torrey, is not happy. He just told me we didn't play so good. There's lots more hockey straight ahead on ESPN. We'll be rejoining Tom Mees. Hartford and Quebec, they were tied up 2-2, an upset. The Rangers shocked the Flyers in Philadelphia. And our game tomorrow night, the Blues and the North Stars are tied at 1. Don't go away. Tom Mees straight ahead as ESPN's Road to the Cup continues.
The upset of the week is brought to you by Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need. NASCAR's Valleydale 500 was plagued by a rain delay, but once the race started, the fans were treated to a wild afternoon. The race featured 14 lead changes and 8 leaders, including Rusty Wallace, who grabbed the lead from Darrell Waltrip on lap 400. Wallace ran away from the field and maintained his lead for the final 100 laps. Rusty Wallace beats NASCAR's big names to win the Valleydale 500, the Pepto-Bismol upset of the week.
Wins the Valleydale 500. An hour from now, there'll be 50,000 fans here, eating, drinking, cheering, and groaning. Some of those fans will leave here not feeling so well. Whether it's heartburn, upset stomach, even diarrhea, they can all take one remarkable medicine for relief: Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, Pepto-Bismol relieves what's wrong, relieves it, then leaves a protective coating behind. Pepto-Bismol. For most common stomach discomforts, the one that coats is the only one you need.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
So it's the Washington Capitals up 1-0 in the best-of-5 opening series for the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Capitals now take a 1-0 lead over the New York Islanders. Game 2 will be tomorrow night there in Washington. The Hartford Insurance Player of the Game, Gaetan Duchesne of the Washington Capitals. His job tonight was to shadow Mike Bossy. Bossy was not a factor in the game, and because of that, the people at the Capitol Center selected him our Hartford Insurance Player of the Game. Now let's go to the scoreboard. Hartford and Quebec in overtime, and Hartford has just scored to win it 3-2. So the Whalers, sort of a Cinderella team in the playoffs this year. Hey, they've got the home ice advantage. They beat Quebec at Le Colisée tonight, 3-2. Sylvain Turgeon with a game-winning goal for the Hartford Whalers. Game 2 there tomorrow night in Quebec. And let's take a look at that winning goal by number 16 in green and white, Sylvain Turgeon. Now, the Whalers were peppering Clint Malarchuk in the Quebec net just about the entire overtime. And here we go. In front as he's going down. Sylvain Turgeon shoots and beats Clint Malarchuk. And the final score again, Hartford beats Quebec 3-2, and the Whalers will have home ice advantage in this very short series. Boston and Montreal. The Montreal Canadiens continue to lead. Look like they're going to go on and beat the Bruins in a fight-marred contest in Montreal. The biggest upset of the night, the New York Rangers all over the Flyers. The Flyers didn't skate. They were out-hustled by the Rangers, out-skated. Mike Ridley, the rookie, had 2 goals for the Rangers. The Rangers now have home ice. The Flyers have to go up and win at least one game at Madison Square Garden. And, of course, they got to win tomorrow night, too, in Philly. Toronto and the Blackhawks end of 2 periods in Chicago. The trend continues. The Maple Leafs lead Chicago 2-1. St. Louis and Minnesota, that game in the 3rd period, a very tight one, tied at 1. Vancouver and Edmonton. Vancouver's just scored to cut the Edmonton lead to 1 goal at 3-2. And Winnipeg and Calgary. Lanny McDonald has one of those Calgary goals. Calgary leads it by a score of 2-1. Now, as far as the game you saw at ESPN, Washington and the Capitals in the 1st period. Gaetan Duchesne for Washington. Clark Gillies tied it up late in the period for the Islanders. In the 2nd period, a disputed goal, but one that counted nonetheless by Washington's Bob Carpenter. And in the 3rd period of play, late in the 3rd period, it was Dave Christian for the Capper at 3-1. A reminder, all the scores and highlights coming up on SportsCenter at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific time tonight. They'll have the complete rundown of the first games of these series in the first series on the road to the Stanley Cup. Don't forget, tomorrow, live from the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, our live Stanley Cup coverage continues. It'll be the Minnesota North Stars and the St. Louis Blues, Game 2 of their best 3 out of 5 series. Their first game, as I mentioned a moment ago, still tied at 1-1. That is in the 3rd period of play. So we'll see you tomorrow night, live from the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. More live Stanley Cup hockey right here on ESPN as the road to the Cup continues tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern and 5:30 Pacific time. Again, our score, our final from the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland, Washington 3, the New York Islanders 1. We'll see you tomorrow night with Minnesota hosting St. Louis.
The NHL on ESPN has been brought to you by Bud Light, the light beer with the first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. By Mita, all we make are great copiers. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? A reminder, tomorrow night, Stanley Cup coverage continues. The road to the Cup on ESPN. St. Louis Blues at the Minnesota North Stars, live at 8:30 Eastern and 5:30 Pacific. We'll have highlights and scores from around the league as well. We'll see you tomorrow night.
For over 50 years, United Airlines has been a favorite of business flyers. Today, only United serves all 50 states and over 150 cities.
You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies.
Coming up next on ESPN, an exclusive look at the Celtics 76ers continuing rivalry and the
came out on top again by that 6-5 score. Willie Hernandez picks up the win in that game. Milwaukee and Chicago, well, it was Milwaukee again, 4-3 in that game. A big day for Robin Yount. He had 4 hits. Minnesota and Oakland, the Twins win by 1 again. Mike Smithson goes all the way to win that game. Jay Howell takes the loss. Cleveland and Baltimore this afternoon. It was Baltimore 4-3 over Cleveland. Don Ossie picks up the win in relief. Juan Benilla's 2-out double scored Freddie Lynn and Mike Young in that pivotal inning right there. Also, some other games. Tonight, it was Kansas City, a winner over New York. George Brett with a couple of home runs in that game for the Royals. And there is a rain problem, which they have taken care of. Toronto is now leading Texas 2-0. That one is in the 6th inning. The other game tonight, California at Seattle, a late start. We'll be back with more from the National League right after we take this time out on the ESPN Sports Center update.
It has something to cool your face.
Thanks. I needed that.
Something to soothe your face.
Thanks. I needed that.
Something to smooth your face.
Thanks. I needed that.
Something to tone, to tighten, to brace your face and help get you going.
Thanks.
I needed that.
You're not finished shaving till you've used Skin Bracer Aftershave after every shave. It has what your face needs. Skin Bracer. By Mennen.
3 games on the schedule in the National League this afternoon and this evening. Philadelphia a winner in 11 innings over Cincinnati. The final there 5-3. It is now in the 8th, and San Francisco is leading Houston. The score there 3-1, and it's San Diego and Los Angeles just getting underway.
This Sports Center update has been brought to you by Skin Bracer Aftershave. Takes care of men who take care of their skin. Skin Bracer by Mennen.
Imagine being on location with ESPN at events from around the world. Places you dream about. Now you can be there when ESPN takes you on World Tour. The first stop on the tour is the French Open. And your chance to be there with us in Paris is your entry in the World Tour Sweepstakes. To enter, watch any of ESPN's tennis events in April. Catch the World Tour winning slogan that will be announced during the event. Write it on a card with your name and address and mail to World Tour Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 1132, Ridgely, Maryland 21683. That's World Tour Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 1132, Ridgely, Maryland 21683. That entry will qualify you for the grand prize of a trip for 2 to the French Open. And that's only one stop on ESPN's World Tour.
Hello once again, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel. Welcome to the NBA Today. The number of games each team has left in the regular season, you can count on one hand. That's how close to the playoffs we are. It looked like playoff action at the Spectrum in Philadelphia on Sunday, but at second glance, it was only